Oh, go live, I guess. Okay.
That was a test. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I
it is
think we're
still.
connected.
It will tell. Well, it's gonna be really shaky.
I think we're connected? That was
Because
interesting.
on our side, it's gonna look a lot better, but to them, it's gonna look really bad because of our internet.
Yeah, but it's also hard to tell what's really going on here.
What's actually going on? Well, I can't use my
Oh,
phone.
something's happening. Okay.
So that means it's
So,
live.
it means we're doing something.
It means we're doing something.
Okay, so we're live. Okay. Can someone chat in if they can, Adrian, I know you're on here because we've been talking for a while and we thought we were live. Can you see, can you hear us? Can anyone hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hunter, you don't need to speak into the microphone that aggressively.
Well, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
You're allowed to do that.
This is my microphone. I'm allowed to do whatever the heck I want.
You know, it is your microphone, and this is the situation we're in. I can see you. Hello, I can see you, and I can hear you. All right. That's all we
You're
care.
welcome.
That's all we cared about.
Good. Listen to our beautiful voices. They're quite serene. Yes.
Oh, Giorgio's on. Oh, wow, Giorgio's on here. He must have gotten the message. Okay. Everything's going.
I don't know these people.
That's fine. That. All right. So it's 9:38. How do you want to do this?
How do we want to do this? Well, I think this is your stuff, and
That's true.
I'm
This
the
is
guest.
that's
so
true.
you should be hosting your own channel, now shouldn't
That
you?
is true. This is my own channel.
I'm-
So hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking over me now. Hello, Hi everybody. I'm Justice Graves, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to this reaction stream that we're going to be doing, and I'm live inside of my own house with our guest for today. He goes by the pseudonym online DELTADEADEYE. This is my... Can you be serious?
I'm being serious. Keep going.
This is my brother, Hunter Graves, who is this your first time on YouTube? Or is this like...
So
Is this a good... Because I don't...
Here's the good answer to this. I am a veteran YouTuber from 2014, but I have not posted anything, or any of my videos on my actual regular channel up, because I took them all down because they're old, and I did like 7. And, no. So now DELTADEADEYE exists, and that existed since 2020, and I haven't posted anything because I have been learning editing. And that's where we're up to date. I have streamed on Twitch, like 2020. So, and, yeah, that's the best you're gonna get on that.
Alright, that's the best that you're going to get out of him today, folks. So, for today, you're probably wondering, why on earth would I bring my brother on here for a random reaction live stream? And that is because, if you haven't figured out from the thumbnail today, we are going over at least some of the episodes of the complete Evergreen story, because we were talking about... Well, I've been talking about it all week because I've been rewatching the complete Evergreen story because I've been shocked. And for those of you who don't know, Evergreen State College got national headlines back in 2017 when students staged a total... when they staged a protest slash... I would call it sort of a proto-riot slash... they took over the library and administration building and held the administration hostage for... I actually don't remember how many hours, but that's when it launched into the spotlight nationally. It got featured, I believe, on the Rubin Report. Did all these things and was covered, at least on YouTube, by a few people, but most notably Benjamin Boyce, which he created a documentary called The Complete Evergreen Story, Let It All Hang Out, that we are going to be watching the first 3 episodes of and reacting to. We may stream through some of it, but this is actually Hunter's second time, but he doesn't really remember some of it because this was like right when I was about to go for my election campaign to be on school committee. I was like, you have to see this stuff because I didn't know this stuff existed. And then Hunter's like, we stayed up. I think we watched like 12 episodes in one night.
Yeah, we did. We did actually.
We did watch 12 episodes in one night, and your total reaction back then was, can you sum it up for us?
I couldn't stop laughing.
Well, it was some of it's funny. I mean, from a sad point of view, but some of it's out of control. And just be aware.
Crazy.
That
I don't know the whole story. I still don't know. and it was so crazy,
You
and
didn't
it blew my mind.
see. You didn't grasp
'Cause
what
I'm not-
it was since you were so new. I at least had been kind of looking at what this stuff was for like a year or two.
No.
You're a little bit more informed now, and so you're looking at the
Barely.
informed
Dude.
through my experiences on school committee.
Well, okay, let's get this clear. We should take into the context that I am not a politician or a political YouTuber or anything with politics. I am not in that realm.
but you're an appointed official.
No, I don't have a quorum. For our town, we don't have a quorum, so it doesn't matter. I'm an appointed official on like our town TV
Cable thing.
Yeah, and we don't have cable.
They don't even have enough people.
We don't even have cable.
Our house doesn't have cable. The town has cable.
Our town
has cable. We're one of the 6 houses that doesn't have cable.
So
of course he naturally went on cable TV advisory committee, and naturally they don't have a quorum, and naturally nothing has been going on there for about a couple of years now. So you're basically just sitting there with a binder ready to go, and
I've started the binder. I have to look into everything again. Nothing's happening.
And you basically went on as a pity.
I wouldn't even go on as a pity. I don't know. I know a little bit about some of the stuff, so I was like, maybe I'll learn more, so might as well go on.
Well, I mean, it was kind of embarrassing because there was nobody appointed to it up until that meeting.
It has to do with how it is.
You know what? That's a whole other conversation. We're just getting into some backstory. We're just kind of letting to see if people are getting into the feed.
And if you do
who is the third person watching? Beats me. I don't really care. Who knows who could be watching right now? I posted it on Facebook, YouTube, and well, of course I posted it on YouTube. We're on YouTube. Why did I just say that?
Use your brain.
So we're on YouTube. Why did I say that again? We're on Facebook and we're on Twitter. Who knows? People just watch in the background.
We're live on YouTube and we're live on other places.
We're not live. We're actually not live on other places. We're only live on YouTube. I just happen to tweet it on YouTube. Tweet it on Twitter.
He can tweet on YouTube, guys.
Guys, we can tweet on YouTube.
We can tweet on YouTube. The little blue bird has joined us. We're on the
It feels like it sometimes with the censorship. It really does.
I don't know. I don't like politics, man. That's why my channel's
all right, so you're all here. I know this is a pretty big build-up. We're just kind of shooting.
Well, okay, because we're also getting people in here, because who knows what else we're going to get.
That's true. I don't really know.
Because you have to know who I am. They don't know who I am.
That's true. They don't know who you are, so this is a good intro.
It's a good intro. Also, to give... just a reminder, if you can't hear me well, do tell us.
Yeah, if you can't hear us, please tell us.
Because
I'm sort of monitoring things. Cool tweet on YouTube. Yeah, thank you, Giorgio. Yeah, I did a really cool tweet on YouTube. Yeah, the little blur. Yeah, as Hunter said, the bird is here. The bird is in the chat.
Yeah, the bird is here.
The bird is in the chat. Maybe Twitter's monitoring us.
Boys, the bird has entered the chat.
That would be terrifying. I would not like that.
No, I wouldn't either. No, but like.
So we are gonna watch the complete Evergreen story. We're gonna fast forward through it. Hunter's apparently eating chocolate chip cookies as we're doing this, just nonchalantly.
Leave me alone.
Yeah,
I'm hungry.
That's true. He just got off of work like a few hours ago. This was sort of impromptu to the extreme.
Oh.
So we're going to go for, as we do it, we are going to react. We're going to have to stop as we react because you're trying to watch the chats, aren't you? Maybe. So we're going to we have 2 screens set up in this room. We're going to sort of go through it. I'm going to ask sort of your thoughts and if you have any questions of what in the world is going on. Benjamin does a pretty good job. But there's some weird stuff that if you're not paying attention to the subtitles, you're just like, this is insane. And then you read the subtitles and you're like, okay, there's some context. It's still bad. But
yeah.
We're not going to do reaction streams to the whole series because if you want to see that, you got to go on Benjamin's channel. But I've given Benjamin quite a bit of
what
I would call it revenue, considering
I wouldn't really call it revenue. I would call it you have basically advertised for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I mean, this channel doesn't make any money, so
yeah,
my channel doesn't make money.
Would you?
Well, let's be honest here.
Well, okay, does it have the option to be monetized in the future?
It could be monetized in the future, but I mean, Hunter TCTV isn't even. Our local cable station on YouTube isn't even monetized yet. It doesn't even have enough yet.
It doesn't have 4,000 watch hours?
It doesn't have 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, that's
You
a
need
good
both.
point,
You need
yeah.
both. You need both. It has it has like the necessary.
Well, you could you're different, so you might actually, especially when you keep you interview with different people, you're gonna get
Okay,
here and
we are gonna get set up. Oopsies, that's not gonna
there.
work.
Yeah, we're still learning.
We're gonna get
things.
started. This is the first time we've tried something like this. Benjamin Boyce is awesome. Yes, I totally agree, Giorgio. Giorgio is one of my local subscribers. He is also a paid premium member, and we appreciate Giorgio very much. He's on a couple of different locals that I'm with.
Huh.
Oh, you didn't?
I kind of respect that a little bit, but I'm also concerned.
You don't even know what locals is. That's
No.
That's how uncultured this one over here is.
Okay, we're gonna call me uncultured. He doesn't know everything.
That's true. I have very sub-level, very high. Why did I just say sub-level? Very baseline of what the internet is. This may be like I don't know how long the stream is going to be, folks.
Yeah,
so
'cause
just be aware.
Yeah, I have internet experience.
All right, we need to actually get started because I think Adrian and them want to see us react to this.
All right. Sorry. We wanted to chill a bit.
We like talking out of the sides of our mouths for the fun of it.
We can't stop talking. We're talkers. All right, just hit it.
We're talkers when we're in the room. Okay, so I am going to switch to desktop audio, and I'm going to mute us, and we're going to get started. Hopefully this works. Fingers crossed.
I would like Evergreen to continue to be the kind of a college that's going to attract people who really want to get on an intellectual binge, who are looking for jobs, yes, but a place where we develop the mind and develop critical minds, because I think that critical minds can go any place in the world.
Pearl, thank you.
The Evergreen State College is a small liberal arts college located in southwestern Washington. Founded in 1967, its doors opening in 1971, it was set up with the express purpose of providing an alternative form of education to the public. Evergreen's experimental form of education did away with letter grades, instead providing students with in-depth feedback through narrative.
So for those of you who may watch later who don't understand, Evergreen is one of the, it has a different model, and Benjamin Boyce goes into this. There are a few colleges like this out there. We have a, there are
more?
Yeah, there's more like this, and you've actually been to, you didn't go to it, but you've been to one of them. It's called, Hampshire College. Hampshire College is very similar. They don't really do letter grades. They do narrative stuff as well. They're also one of the, I forget if they're a little bit older than Evergreen. We've been to that campus. It's over in Amherst.
Yeah.
It's only like, I want to say less than an hour away from us here in Massachusetts. Amherst is a strange college, just like Evergreen is if you look it up. They're interdisciplinary. You can have weird degrees in all sorts of combinations. So there are some strange people that pop out that come over here. So so in our area, we're at least a little bit aware of what. Yeah. And Amherst is a big liberal area anyway, to the point where, and for those of you who don't know, Amherst, Massachusetts has so many gigantic colleges in its vicinity that it has multiple. It's a town, but it has multiple zip codes. Templeton has multiple zip codes as well, but we're talking like Amherst is a fairly large town with basically its economy completely revolves around around college campuses and the cyclical school year. So just you're going to see some similarities immediately to Hampshire College as we go through this. So I'm just warning you.
Is it the college that I'm thinking of?
It's the college that
Place?
next year that we went to for that cross-country invitational, they switched the bathrooms to be gender neutral. It was that one, that caused.
I was gonna make a comment on it.
That caused the whole thing before we went there with like the whole. This was back I think in like 2015 or 2016 when that happened. It was like this whole thing about the gender neutral bathrooms, and like. There was questions, especially from the girls' team, about what to do about that, and there was a whole thing about that.
Yeah,
I remember that whole thing.
Yeah, well,
and then it kept and it wasn't escalating, but it got really awkward as it kept going on.
Because the bathrooms are just
most of the bathrooms on that campus changed to gender neutral. No. So it really was it all of them?
No, it wasn't. Because I went there back in high school, and if it's the college I'm thinking of,
it is. It's the one with the swimming pool. It's
Oh, yeah, no, it's 100%. No, not all their bathrooms are like that because some of them are actually.
See, now he remembers what I'm talking about.
No, I know.
I say the place with the swimming pool, and now he remembers because that's
I
his
knew.
priority.
I knew what you were talking about. I just wanted to make certain I knew what it was because I didn't want to look a fool on this. And basically, most of the bathrooms are gender neutral, but it's not gender neutral in this normal sense of like, oh, blah blah blah.
Anyway,
it's
we
just
don't need
urinals and.
We
Toilets,
don't need to
that's
talk
it.
about the gender.
That's all it is. It's just urinals and toilets. That's all it says on the
Right,
sign.
but remember how weird it was,
toilets.
like, when that happened that first year, and we're just like, we were all... I think it really got prevalent when you were gone, because I think there were still some gendered bathrooms when I was there for that last
still
one.
are.
But it got really strange, and then there were, like, waves of how people would go into the bathroom to avoid each other gender. Like, that's what was happening.
Yeah.
It was... I think I went... No, I remember that happened the first year when that switch happened, and then after that you kept reporting back, and that was like... But just so that everyone is aware that that was what was kind of going on.
You should check the chat.
I should check the chat. I really should do that, because I'm kind of hiding the chat. I recommend watching the review by Nomadic Fanatic reviewing his experience at Evergreen. Watch before you consider going there. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no. Okay, we're going to go back. This is just a little of a side that there is a college near us that does this kind of nonsense. All right, we're going to go back to it. I'm going to mute us.
I was going to ask, why do we mute? But why do we mute? Why don't we just keep it?
Because it's going to bounce back and forth.
Oh, is it bounce back?
Yeah, because we can't cancel it. I don't know how to do that.
Just lower the input.
You want me to just lower the input?
Fine, whatever. Just mute it.
Evaluations. Also, Evergreen structures classes around interdisciplinary models, where, for example, 3 teachers from an array of disciplines, such as history, poetry, and biology, can teach a single course that lasts for an entire year, immersing the student in a variety of disciplines and giving them the opportunity and tools to incorporate diverse schools of thought into a cohesive whole. Evergreen quick became known as something of an oddity in Washington state. While its spirit of quirkiness combined with its penchant for social progressivism, political action, and activism, and the occasional riot never quite won it the achievement of the bad boy of Washington colleges, it did certainly become known as the scruffy, somewhat orgiastic, and unbathed, mottled sheep of the lot. This perception, though not unwarranted, was not always entirely fair. Evergreen Science and Humanities departments, well, they don't have departments, but whatever, have been known to produce individuals keenly suited to graduate programs, these students having gained valuable experience in both independent and group projects. In the spring of 2017, a series of protests live-streamed by the students launched Evergreen into the national eye, setting in stark relief the contentions in higher education between academics focused on classical education and those who center education on social justice. These two camps came to dramatic blows when Brett Weinstein
I do have to say a few things before we keep going. So, you understand?
Not even just us. So did class of 2021.
Well, okay, but we're talking about like immediate, like, ooh, we're going to graduation, then all of a sudden we're not going to graduation.
Yeah, we were the first one that had to deal with it. We're always the first one to deal with those kind of problems.
Oh gosh, what was I thinking of? But just so that people are aware, yes, we're talking about social justice, but
yeah, justice.
As a few people on the internet have been talking about, and there's been a lot of tweets lately, do you know how many forms of justice there are apparently on the internet floating around right now through the woke movement? Can you guess some of the names of the different types of justice?
Social justice, ethnical justice.
No, they don't get. Did you say ethnic, or
like,
ethical?
Ethnic, like
that may be a thing. I haven't heard that one yet. I've heard
like
racial justice.
I probably just made something up, and I'm scared that someone's gonna take that and turn it into something reality.
So there's racial there's racial justice. There may be ethnic justice.
I would. That's what I would have figured they'd do instead of racial. Because why would you do racial?
No, I think they do racial because Hunter, everything's about race, so they really have no issue with that. So there's racial justice. There's climate justice. You know about that, Greta Thunberg.
There's climate justice? What's that?
Wait, you don't know about Greta?
Who's Greta? Who's Greta? Who's Greta? Why do you say this like it's important?
Oh, God.
What's Greta? No, seriously. No. You gave context. What is it?
So, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. So Greta is a climate activist from, I think it's Norway, but she's from one of those countries.
She's from Norway? Why?
And I actually don't even know if she has her high school degree yet or if she's technically a high school dropout. I think she's a high school dropout. Anyway, she's the poster child for climate justice in the world. She's spoken at the United Nations, and it's a little sad because they kind of use her because of her mental state.
What do they?
She has Asperger's. Very publicly, I believe she has Asperger's.
Oh, dang. So what do they like? What do they do?
She does a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of new videos. She got a lot of heat because of something she tweeted about India like a year or two ago. It's been kind of on and off.
Wait, so what do you mean they use her? They use her out of context, or they?
Oh no, it is not out of context.
Okay, not out of context, but what do you mean they use her for like media?
Elites and stuff will, if they can kind of get her favor, and she'll go on and she'll do whatever show she's doing, and she'll get them. It's good for ratings and things.
She'll go on different shows. Oh, that's.
Well, she doesn't usually go on shows. I mean, she has, but it's a lot of like internet activism. Like she's like kind of our age. She's not that much younger, I think, than me or you. I think she's younger. She may actually be old. She may be older than you, and she may be younger than me. But I think might be younger than you.
Is she like 22?
She might be like
21?
19 or 18. I don't really remember.
If she's 19 or 18, she's younger than me, dude.
I don't remember how old Greta is. But anyway, that's Greta.
We don't know her.
So there's climate justice. She's like the poster child for climate justice. Then there is thermal justice, restorative justice.
Restorative? I never would have guessed these names.
There's a few more. I wonder if anyone's chatted in any of the additional
You should
names.
be checking. Always check the chat, Justice.
Always check
Come
the
on.
chat.
Always the check. It's a no.
Kieran is here. Hashtag thermal justice.
See, you
Bad
messed.
joke. Climate change is the earth transitioning, and the left are... Yeah, that's right, Giorgio. There's a lot of problems. You guys are choppy and buffering, and now it's good. Our internet connection is like really all over the place, so just don't... We're just kind of flying at the seat of our pants. It's not going to get better if it gets choppier. Just be aware of that.
Yeah,
it's not going to get better.
Listen, if you miss anything, guarantee... We are recording this, right?
It's just being streamed, so that's...
Oh, well, good luck, YouTube, because you're going to have a problem... whatever. All right, good luck with that.
I don't care about that. We just tried to get this up and running for the fun of it. But yeah, let's go back to the video.
Yeah, we're
only like 2 minutes into it.
Yeah, the unbathed.
The unbathed.
Dude, did you hear that? That was ridiculous. If you watched that, that was ridiculous. The unbathed. They're unbathed? What do you mean they're unbathed?
No, Hunter, they're not unbathed. So that was just a play. So Benjamin likes to be pithy. He likes to be wordy. We'll do wordy. What he meant is that Evergreen is kind of like not that Evergreen. I mean that Evergreen is it's a proverbial mess. It's just natural. It's just a natural place where chaos occurs. Let's just go with that. Because we all know
it's chaos, and then there's whatever this is. I don't know.
Anyway, let's keep going, because we're not going to get through this.
A professor of evolutionary biology, was protested outside his class by students who accused him of being racist. Their evidence derived from a series of emails he had written to question the methods and suggestions of the college's Equity Council, who had been working hard at the behest of the college president, George Bridges, to redesign the college's function around notions of diversity and equality of outcomes. Brett Weinstein was the first stop in a week-long series of protests, which culminated in students taking over the library and administration building, taking the senior administration hostage, and issuing a list of demands just as lengthy as they were self-contradicting. All of this was live-streamed onto the internet, and the aftermath resulted in the college shutting down for several days and moving its graduation ceremony 1 hour north. Since these events, the college has seen a dramatic drop in enrollment and is now often referenced by journalists and public intellectuals whenever similar protests start up on other campuses. I myself graduated from Evergreen 2 weeks after the protests and have worked over the past 2 years to show the public what was going on behind the scenes. And now I'm ready to present to you, in a distilled fashion, everything that I've discovered during this research. The next few videos, which will form, I hope, the capstone of my entire expose, will be based on the events of May 2017. But I will be going forward and backward from there to provide context for what's actually going on, and hopefully to show you guys not only what happened, but possibly what caused what happened to happen. So, without further ado, here's the complete Evergreen story. When did this trouble...
Hey, people of color students. We are trying to have a class that's mainly people of color, brown and black, called MediaWorks. And what I did, with the help of a friend, was take the exact same post and just switch the race in it and the class in it, just to show that if you can say this about, this race, why can't you say it about this race? And so we put white instead, and then uploaded it, and then 300 something comments later that the entire school was not happy. I had people saying that I was a fragile white boy, and then I had others saying that I was a person of color that just wants to be white, and I don't act like people of color should. And then there was one event when I was in the greenery, and someone came up, stuck the hands on the table, got like this far from my face, and started yelling at me. And they were asking, are you going to stop being disrespectful? And I asked, and I said, well, what do you mean by disrespectful? And their response was, are you going to stop being disrespectful? And I'm like, I need you to tell me throughout the entire thing. And when they wouldn't respond, I'm like, then no, I won't stop being disrespectful because you won't answer. I went to the police after that, though.
What did you do there?
I just told them the events that happened, and I said, this was the person who was yelling at me, this is what was happening. And then what happened after was the other students were called in. This was after we left, and they had to go in and, say they were detained. But on one of the students' Facebook page, there's a video of what happened there, and at no point was there any detainment. It was a group of what looked like 30 students inside, detained and wasn't allowed to use the restroom or leave, was walking freely about in the lobby, just chatting it up with people.
So yeah, to pretty much sum that up, a person by other people of color made a complaint, and it turned into one of the biggest reasons to start this big movement.
I think it was around the next week when
Okay, so you wanted to talk.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about this. First of all, he had made a post. So I missed a little bit of it, but
So there's a lot. So this is the thing, is that Benjamin does this as sort of a weird documentary style.
yeah, which
So
is fine.
you'll have to pay attention to a lot of the dates at the bottom and try and keep track. So basically,
Yeah.
what this is to sort of do is to outline sort of the beginning and sort of the culture of what's going on. So what you just saw was clearly, so the first post, the one where it talks about how, students want to have an all media group that's only of people of color, clearly, I mean, when you hear that students want to have a class at a public state college that's filled with only people of color, what is your thought to that?
Well, you shouldn't. See, that goes back in time, because we had a point in time where we were diverse, and that was the problem, because we weren't mixing our cultures and being able to, not be stupid.
Well, no, Hunter, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, when you hear that
What? That we...
at a college, it's not a student group. We're talking about at a public college. This is a public course that almost anyone with the qualifications should be able to take.
Well,
And they're trying to make it so that only people who are of darker skin are allowed or should be in this class. So they're trying to tell people, don't sign up, we want it to be an all-black class. What is your reaction to that?
it's a service they're providing, and no, obviously it shouldn't happen, and it's obviously not going to happen. because that's a ridiculous...
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure that... I actually don't know what happened with that MediaWorks class, and maybe that's... I may have to watch some more videos, but I'm pretty sure they got pretty close to an all... Like, by shaming students to not going in, I'm pretty sure...
But that's not... See, that's just straight up harassment, and they shouldn't be in the classroom anymore.
Hunter, what I'm looking for, the magic word that I'm looking for is not harassment, although that's a good one, because there's clearly...
What, are you looking for the word that they're being a racist?
I mean, it is.
It's racism. It's straight up. Obviously, it's racism, and it's...
And how do you feel about that other student that made the reverse post that said the other thing, just to see what would happen?
Oh, you're talking about the guy who was joking?
Well, not yes, joking, like, you know, to point out the hypocrisy of the other post. How do you feel about that one?
They just got played, dude.
Who got played?
No, they got played. They fell into a trap. He did exactly what... Well, okay, to be fair, I think he didn't think it was going to go that big, but he was kind of just joking around, and he's probably tired or whatever, and he's like, this is stupid. I'm going to post something.
Well, do you think that the students reacted the way that they should have reacted and gotten upset over his post versus the other
They
post?
should have upset over the other post, not his, obviously, but it's like, this is 2017, this is a different time period.
Should they have been upset about both posts? Because...
Probably, yeah, actually. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
They should have probably not liked the guy who making fun of it, and they probably should have really hated on the other one, because obviously you shouldn't seriously be wanting that, because that's just ridiculous. That's just weird.
All right, you heard it. Modern race centrism, a sign of narcissism, paranoia, or cynicism. It's probably all of them, Giorgio. It's probably all of them. All right, let's keep going on this. And tell me when you want to stop so that we can have this dialogue. We'll see how far we can get through with this.
I'm trying.
There was meetings where students got together. It started out with discussions about what are the problems that people have on campus, and then how can we really qualify which claims are just emotional and which claims are really going on, so that we can figure out what issues we can specifically target. There was another meeting where Keave came in. He had some written statement about collectivism that I wish I could have heard, but students didn't want to hear it, and he was basically told to leave after a few words were spoken.
And then there was an email that came out from Wendy that invited people to go to this meeting to discuss what happened through Facebook. So I decided to go because I wanted to see if it had anything to do with Brett.
This isn't directed at any professors or anything?
Well, there's some staff and faculty who have also, like, done and said anti-black things, like the whole email chain with Brett, the science faculty.
Have you read it yourself?
So the first video that I showed him when I was watching the Evergreen story, and I had to physically look this up because what you're looking at on screen is the Longhouse. At the Longhouse, and this is actually the event that really kicked off the school year, or like before the school year, I believe. Or it was like really early on in the situation. We're talking about stuff that's happening like in May, so this is like way later. This is like in the spring of 2017 when things really heat up, is what you're seeing on screen. But back in the fall, at the Longhouse, there was this event, and this is the video that I showed you that was really strange, was the canoe episode, the canoe meeting. You remember the canoe meeting? You remember the canoe?
No, I remember the canoe meeting!
You remember the canoe where they're like, we all gotta get on this canoe? Because I said, Hunter,
Get on the canoe.
I said, Hunter, you gotta watch this thing. This is like this is like back in early 2021, and I'm like, Hunter, you gotta watch this.
We gotta get on the canoe, Justice.
I'm like, Hunter, Hunter. I try to get my mother to watch this too. I'm like, Hunter,
She wasn't gonna watch it.
You gotta watch this canoe, and she didn't want to watch it. But I'm like, Hunter, let's go in the other room and let's watch it. And I was casting it. I convinced him. I cast it onto the TV. I said, Hunter, I said no. I've been watching this thing. It's called The Complete Evergreen Story. You need to watch. And he's like, no. And I said, no. I'm taking you over there to watch.
I think I said something to you like convince me, and then you gave some context, and I was like, I don't believe you, so I'm gonna have to watch this.
He didn't believe that the canoe. He did not believe that happened. And as soon as it started with the land, do you remember the land blessing? Do you remember that whole thing? You remember the land blessing, and you remember when it was like, I forget how they organized the canoe, but I think it was like
we're gonna get to that at some point if we keep going.
that'll happen. That's
a different episode.
It's actually a completely different video, but there's clips of it in episodes. But this is the longhouse where it happens at.
Oh, that's where it happens at?
Yeah, this is one of the things. Just be aware of that.
What did people say about that?
The canoe?
Oh, no, I'm talking about...
Oh, how are people... Are these the offspring of negligent or open-minded hippie parents? I have no idea.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Washington is its own universe.
Yeah, we don't live in Washington.
Get in the canoe. Yeah, Adrian, I know you've watched it. I think Adrian has watched the canoe episode. I swear... not. And I don't know why I'm calling it the canoe episode. It's the canoe meeting. It is the canoe meeting. You gotta look up... Evergreen State College, the canoe meeting. It is somewhere on the internet. I know Benjamin has the full video of it. A few other people do as well. Watch the video.
It's hilarious.
Well, it's not hilarious.
Yes, it's funny.
It's
so horrible. It's funny. That's how bad it is.
You interpret it as funny.
It's funny because it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. How am I supposed to take it seriously?
I kind of back then I thought it was funny. Because I didn't think it was real. But the reason why now I think maybe I'm a little bit more jaded because I've been on school committee and I've seen some stuff and I know where this leads and I'm like, this isn't really funny anymore. This is like an existential threat to society.
I know, but it's funny because from my perspective, those people are like insane.
Well, from your perspective, it's like that was a completely useless exercise.
Yeah, it didn't do anything.
I mean...
They got in a canoe.
They didn't actually get in a canoe. You gotta watch that. Remember, they did not actually get into a canoe. They just made it.
It was a symbolic canoe.
Please don't.
It's like,
and remember. Oh,
symbolic.
Do you remember the goals?
No, we're not doing the goal thing.
We're not doing the goals. We were up all night watching that and talking about that one.
That's a different.
But anyway, this is the longhouse where it happens at. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
I've read excerpts of it because my class is actually making a documentary that has that in it.
Who's your professor?
Name alone.
I have a phrase called Black Girl in the Wilderness, right? Sort of to describe this profound isolation we feel as these sort of unruly, loudmouth women with like the wrong hair and a lot of attitude and a rabid dedication in our work towards education.
What is your reaction to her?
You're not even unmuted.
No, we're unmuted. I muted the other side.
Oh.
Yeah. So what's your reaction to what? So this is Naima Lowe. She is...
We're going to have to re-watch that a bit, because I'm going to need the full context if I'm going to... for the rest of what she's going to say.
Hunter, it doesn't get much better.
It doesn't. But she just said something, like, super messed up, I think.
You think? She basically... She racially generalized all black women.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
She literally racially generalized all black women.
Yeah.
Just because she's black.
That's why I wanted to rewatch it, just to make sure I heard that right. You know what I mean?
Hunter, you heard that right.
There's no way.
There's no way you heard that right?
There's no way.
You heard that right, folks. Oh, trust me.
Wilderness, right? Sort of to describe this profound isolation we feel as these sort of unruly, loudmouth women with like the wrong hair and a lot of attitude and a rabid dedication in our work towards education as an actually liberatory practice.
Day of Absence, Day of Presence is about discussing issues around inclusivity, around equity, around gender diversity, around sexual diversity, around religious diversity. So inevitably every year, at least one person will ask, well, why are we asking people who identify as white to meet here and people who identify as people of color to meet here? And the reason for that is actually pretty simple. It's because people of color and white people experience racism differently, and they're really different conversations.
We are having people of color stay on campus, and we are encouraging white staff, faculty, and students to go off campus in order to make the space at Evergreen centered around people of color.
Throughout the years, they have never encouraged a race to leave. It's always been voluntary. And then on top of that, socially, it was not voluntary. Because if you chose not to leave or you chose to abstain from the event, you were called a racist and then, insulted just like.
There's going to be an ad in a moment. I'm going to try and, get us through this so we don't hit the ad, because that's kind of annoying. I know Hunter has some thoughts, because he had some pretty bad reactions to it. We don't need to see a little bit of this. I'm going to just try and get through this.
Dude, that was ridiculous.
What do you mean, dude, that was ridiculous?
What do you mean, dude, that wasn't ridiculous? You not see, she just straight up absolutely just was racist to her own thing, in a sense. And then after that, then we have identifies as white or black. And I'm like, wait, how do you identify as black if you're not black? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're not hitting on the points that I thought you were hitting on. What about the whole you gotta leave campus if you look?
I was about to hit that too, because that was alright, that's just straight up segregation.
Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, good. Actually, I think Brett gets into this. So, we're going to go back. So, this is Brett Weinstein. This is the teacher that really gets focused on in the whole episode, in the whole situation, because of it's a little out of control. Oopsies, why did I just do it like that? Oh, well, I don't know. We're trying to get this to work. All right, we're going to go on to the next part of this. Oh, someone's chatting in. What drives me crazy with all this is how dehumanizing it is. I was about to say dehuman. It is dehumanizing. I feel like it's sort of even dehumanizing me with my view of people as it goes along, just because of how bad the situation is.
I believe there's a small smidgen of hope. It's very small.
A small what?
Small smidgen of hope that somehow, some way, all of this will.
You're really that hopeful?
I'm hopeful.
Hunter,
I am allowed to have hope.
Okay, so folks, I'd hate to say this, but you have not seen some of the stuff that,
I know some things, but not a lot. I don't know everything in depth, but I can tell you right now, I watch a lot of entertainment, and I can tell you they force-feed it a lot. It's not
well, fun. They do, but here's the other part, is you have not seen some of the insanity that, Deb has come up, that, is going on in North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't want to see any of that.
I don't know what that is. Why is it bad?
Have you ever heard of social emotional learning?
What is that? What is...
That's for another episode. We're going to cover this in another episode, because I've never explained to him social emotional learning. So we're going to cover this in another episode.
I hate everything.
Because there's, this is a whole...
I already know. I could take a guess as to what that is.
Take a guess. What do you think social emotional learning is? We'll come back to this in a later series, but go.
Emotional learning?
Social emotional learning.
It's social emotional learning.
Yes.
So they're trying to. They're trying. What are they trying to teach them? Social, how to act socially, emotionally. Is that what they're trying to teach them? Or are they trying to use your emotions socially? What are they trying to do? I don't know.
We're gonna cover this in a later episode, folks.
They have weird vocabulary. That's ridiculous.
Well, Hunter, most of it doesn't.
It's ridiculous, don't
he wasn't the best student in school. I just want to really make that clear.
I want to make this clear. I literally purposely just didn't try. There's a difference.
I mean, you passed. I mean, you weren't a Mercy graduate.
Dude, I got A's in classes randomly. If I was good at it, I was good at it. If I was bad, I was bad.
But you just did not care about certain
No, subjects. I just cared about athletics back then. That was it.
My work is celebrate. Oh, Adrian has a chat that's really fun, so we're gonna go over this for a minute.
I like
my work is celebrating Women's History Month and inviting everyone who identifies as a woman in quotes, to share our stories. So just remember, this is going on. Oh, no, I'm not trying to report anything on YouTube, everyone. All your chats are fine.
Yeah, we don't.
We're not.
He
All right,
doesn't-
let's go back to the video. We'll cover social emotional learning later. We may need to do this with you and Deb because this. I'm kidding. You don't need to meet Deb. Your brain is gonna get broken if we keep going.
Why would I go? Why would my brain be broken?
Moving on.
Oh, that's scary.
Because I think that's
Let's
important
be
distinction.
very careful about this.
Yeah.
There was no implication that white people would not be allowed on campus.
Okay.
There was, however, the implication, when this finally was described, the implication was that white allies would be off campus. And therefore, there was the implication that if you were white and you showed up on campus, that you were therefore not an ally. And that is the thing that pushed me to respond. And what I said was, there is all the difference in the world between a population absenting themselves from a shared space and a population telling another population to go away. And my point was, speech has to be free on a college campus and that everybody has to be free to be there. I thought that the point was so clear that it couldn't really be missed. And I was shocked at how far off the mark the response was.
And then after that, there was a meeting about trying to figure out what the next steps were going to be. There was one student that stood up during the meeting and said that all the things that are going on on campus are not amounting to anything, and that things had to start changing quicker. And so they told the room that they were going to go start a do shit committee, and that was going to be in the other room. And anybody that wanted to do shit could join the do shit committee. That's when students brought up Weinstein's name. And then, in sort of just a moment's decision, they decided to protest Weinstein's class the next day.
Monday happens, and I'm in class, and I've definitely got a lot of anxiety. I'm just like, whoo, oh God, like this could break out at any moment. People are starting to.
Are you sure?
So, yeah, no, this is a good point. So what do you understand has been happening so far? Like, what is she talking about? Like, what?
Well, she?
Yeah, what are we?
We're talking about what he said, right?
Well, because now we're kind of catching up on this. So,
because we're talking about what the teacher said or professor or whatever, right?
Yeah. So Brett basically told the Equity Council that what they were doing was kind of wrong.
Well, yeah.
Because you understood,
Well, obviously, it's somewhat, it's yeah, he's right. You have freedom. It's a campus. It's a public campus. You have freedoms. You can.
Well, according to him, not according to the Equity Council.
But that's
then so he sends those emails, and then they are flying across campus because clearly people printed those out and showed students, and those are flying across the campus like wildfire. And so what she's describing, just so that, because sometimes Benjamin style, if you're not keeping up with things a little bit too quickly, it can kind of pass by you.
She's describing the class.
She is describing how she feels in class on the Monday following when those emails were done and released.
Because if you noticed, the guy said it. It's like, yeah, some people went into another room, and it's like, here's
no.
So
this is where it's sort of confusing. So,
because
what Brett. So that person that was blacked out. Let me explain this. So that the way that this was sort of described, and maybe this is a little bit difficult for people watching the full Evergreen story, is that and this is probably why it's good that we're doing a reaction with you, is that there's two things that were being described at the same time. There was Brett and his emails.
Yeah.
And then with that student who didn't want to be, revealed, his identity revealed, was talking about the aftermath where there was a gigantic meeting. She's describing the build-up to what's going to become that gigantic meeting.
Oh, she's talking about the meeting still? I thought we were talking about...
She's not talking about the meeting. She's talking about the class and the days building up to that.
Oh, she's talking about the class. I thought she was talking about they had that meeting, and then she's talking about the class of, during that what's the protest?
No, there's a few things. There's a lot of things going on in this. This is the build up of all of it to try and explain some of the background and some of the high points right now.
So we understand what's going on before it happens.
Yes, before things sort of explode.
So basically, yeah, but it's crazy though.
I know it's crazy. All right, let's
look at her glasses.
What about them?
I don't know.
She's just a student.
All right, I guess.
Get really weird at our school. Monday happened and everything was fine. I was like, okay, maybe it's all in my head. Everything's fine. And then Tuesday hit and we get split up between different floors to do a activity.
And my group happened to be the largest, and we were on the 3rd floor.
And I had stayed in the classroom because there was one group meeting there. And then
What were you talking about?
we were actually talking about defining words. So we were talking about what we were talking about. We were making sure that we knew what we were saying.
At that moment, a group came in and they lined up against the front of the room and they just stared at us.
I start seeing students coming in with flyers and they're asking for where Brett is. And my heart dropped. I was like immediately like, oh my gosh, it's happening.
This kid that I knew came in the room and handed me this, Brett's email. And he told me that Brett was a racist and that I should read the email. And he was like really flustered and like really amped up. And he put them on all of our desks. And the people that I was in the discussion with, we were like, what is this? We had no idea what was going on.
I got up and I started running down the stairs to go find him. And there was a huge group of people coming upstairs. At first I thought I completely ran into somebody until I kind of realized that they actually like sidestepped and got in front of me on purpose. And I kind of went, oh, I'm sorry. And this person was like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, why are you leaving so fast? And got really aggressive. And I was like, I'm just going downstairs. I have a bunch of classmates downstairs. I'm going downstairs.
The crowd had cornered Brett into the corner of the hallway and were really crowding in on him.
First, they started trying to shut down my ability to speak, and then they started chanting stuff that was actually literally written on a page for them.
We come here as students against campus racism and against anti-blackness on campus. And we would like to reach out to students of color in the humanities as well as sciences that we are here to support. We want to dismantle anti-blackness campus-wide. We want to give some sense of solidarity and provide safety and
Will you listen to me? Yeah. Okay. No, not me, please.
No, if you decide to go.
Okay. I am committed to equity. I'm as committed, I believe, as anyone on this campus. I happen to disagree with other folks on this campus about the way there. Okay? But I'm not an unreasonable person. I'm not uninterested. I'm not uninformed about history. I know the implications of these things. I have arrived where I've arrived from a different route. I've arrived there through academic study. I know why racism happens.
We live racism. We don't have to study it to understand it. We live it.
And the issue is you think scientific proves everything. What about all the racist scientific theories they had about black people for so long? Explain that.
May I answer your
No.
It is not your
Listen. You're going to listen.
You asked me.
So just a little background. So what you saw, what we sort of left off with is that we're at the build-up of the event. This is kind of how Benjamin wants to start everything off with how the Evergreen story goes. We're at the build-up, now we're watching the event itself, the hamped-up energy of what everyone was, sort of thinking and feeling about. And what are your thoughts as you're sort of watching this? Because this is the event that we're seeing right now.
Well, I'm going to start off with the last thing those people were talking about. They were talking about, it's like, well, I've academically studied this, blah, blah, blah. Well, we've lived it. We don't need to. Do realize that, yes, if, it happens or whatever, but you do need to actually study, racism in order to understand the full picture.
Well,
of it.
And maybe this is just because of
I haven't done. I don't.
Maybe this
know
is just
everything.
because of your education. It's not about necessarily a study on racism itself. It's understanding history and understanding how.
Yeah, that's what I mainly meant.
Because here's the thing: is that these people that go for things like racial and ethnic studies and gender studies, and if you go into,
you don't need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not studying anything.
You don't
real.
need to. No, you don't need to study that. I'm talking about the historical significance because it mainly hit history. It affected us socially, historically. These were historical moments and such. And to say that we lived blah blah blah, this is our time period. Those were a different time period with different problems, and those created the problems of today. Now, whether they helped or not are different stories, different things, but the point is everyone has a different situation in life, and that these people do not understand the full reality of what they're talking about. They're using vocabulary that's more...
So I want to... You're talking about the experiences of the past are different than the experiences of the present. Do you think that these students, when they talk about their lived experience, do you think that they have experienced the level of racism that someone from the civil rights era has experienced?
Obviously not, no. It's completely different. It's a completely different problem. Because part of it is, at one point, I don't think 2017 was one of those years to where it was happening.
Well, this is the thing, is actually 2017, this is before the pandemic and before the George Floyd movement. This is actually the year of the height of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh, well.
Before it got even bigger.
Well, I wasn't talking about that movement. I was talking about, like...
But this does get into it later on, not in these...
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Well, a lot of people don't know that until you get later on. Well, until you get later on into it, and then you're like, what do you mean that there's posters all around the campus, and what do you mean that there's
Yeah. Well, no, it was just... It's... Like... I just don't think the 2000s were, like, an aggressively...
We're not talking 2000s. We're talking 2010s here.
Yeah, 2010s, too. I don't think they were... I just don't think... I think, like, the type they're talking about, it's not the same. It's a different type, right? It's the same with, like, bullying, too, right? Because we had a different type of bullying.
Well, here's the thing.
It's a different topic, but the point is, bullying has changed over the years.
Well, here's the other thing, and this is a problem that I don't think you understand is also happening with these students, is that... Remember when we were joking earlier? Because we joked earlier about the goals. We joked about how there's the goals, but you never hear about the goals in the canoe story. That's what we were kind of referencing. It's about the goals. There's that science teacher that's like, you know, with the white hair, and she's like, these goals were informed. These goals were researched. They followed our best understanding of the data at the time. But she never says what the goals are.
Yeah, no, that's why it was...
Similar
now, remember the goals! The goals!
But similar to that, what these students are talking about is that they're talking about, you know, their lived experience. They're talking about that kind of stuff. They're talking about, you know how the goals didn't really exist, how the goals don't exist?
They don't exist.
What they're talking about is interpreting racism in everyday activities in ways that that's the subtlety, because one of the things you have to understand about wokeness is that, or woke, or people who are in these weird little categories, even whether or not they're on the right or on the left, if they're in these weird little niche groups that kind of see stuff either as being all racist on one thing or all racism on another thing, is that they're speaking a completely different language than us. What you are trying to understand as a lived experience is what the average person is trying to understand. So you're very confused. You're trying to empathize with them. You're trying to figure out. You have no idea that they have changed the language. And when they talk about racism and lived experience, it actually means a completely different thing than what you're trying to interpret.
Well, that's a good point, because they're using different vocabulary. The vocabulary is changed.
Right. It's not about It's not about their vocabulary. The word racism does not mean the same thing that you and I understand it as. They have a different way of interpreting it. So when they say the word, it's like we're speaking English.
Yeah.
And they are speaking...
English too.
Sure. But it's not really... It's kind of not really English too. It's like... It's
technically we
woke-lish. Let's call it woke-lish.
Listen, we're English.
I mean, I don't have an...
All right, let's get this clear.
Woke-ish
we are speaking English too.
We're speaking in English.
No, we're speaking English too. Britain's English 1 and Australia's English 3. Let's get this clear.
Okay, let's not go that far. But what I'm trying to get at is that...
Well, maybe they're alternators too.
What I'm trying to get at is that... This whole situation is, when you're listening to the students speak, and when you listen to, because, like, you know that woman, Naomi, you know, when she was talking and stuff, and you thought, like, whoa, this is really outlandish.
Yeah, those are outlandish.
It's even more outlandish when you have to consider the fact that, oh, yes, I know we have software updates are coming up. Yes, I don't want software updates.
Yeah, no software updates.
No software updates. But you have to understand that even Naomi is talking in a different language.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
I feel like
every word means something slightly different.
I hate that
and this comes up later in these videos. So when we get to the point, and I don't know if it's going to happen in the first 3 videos, but where Brett has conversations with students and someone yells at him about something, I will stop it so we can talk about what is happening with this language problem. Yeah, because I think that's something a lot of people don't understand. Because you were talking about this stuff and you were trying to be genuine and be like, I'm trying to empathize with like what they're talking about. But when I told you, Hunter, they're not speaking your language. They actually every word they're saying is a different meaning.
Well, they're also talking about bullying and they're using like just racism as a word.
But they're using it extremely differently. Yeah. It's difficult. It's
because what they're talking about.
There's one dictionary, and then there's another dictionary.
I'm pretty certain they're just talking about bullying, and that's just because everyone has had.
They're not talking about bullying. They're talking about minor inconveniences.
Well, they're talking about people who don't put them in the center of the world. Is what you're probably.
That's what we're talking about, and when I tell you about that, what do you think the problem is with these students? If we're talking about people are not the center of the world, who thinks that they're the center of the world?
No, obviously the students think that they deserve an entitlement, and this is not to say that these people are bad or whatever. It's just that, this is what they believe. They believe that, we're not getting all the same entitlements that you have. And I don't believe that's correctly true because I feel like, I just don't think that's right. I don't think what they're talking about is, I don't think what they're talking about it's not correct. It's more like, they don't know what they're talking about because they have entitlement.
Well, they do know what they're talking about in their own language.
They're on a public campus talking about it. That is entitlement. That's the point. That is straight up entitlement as it is.
Hunter, you have just broken the code. I'm kidding. You haven't broken the code. But what I mean is that yes, they are entitled because they're on a college campus in the United States, able to talk about it.
Yeah, in some countries you can't even do that, and in other countries you don't even.
But if you mention that. Unfortunately, they don't. That doesn't translate for them.
Well, because it's because it's like, well, that's not our.
And
normal...
they come out and Hunter, and they have different words to describe what we're doing right now. They have.
Well, I could do the same thing if I wanted to, but
you could make up new words.
I can, like banana.
Yeah. So Adrian has this good thing that she says in here to put it in the words of James Lindsay. They share your words, but not your dictionary.
I hate that. I like the dictionary that everyone shares because then we all know what we're talking about. Why do we have to use words that don't make sense? It's like if I use
It's not about using words that don't make sense. It's that it's a completely different meaning.
Yeah. You know why I don't like that?
Because there is the textbook definition of racism from like the 80s that makes sense, and then there is what Merriam-Webster says that racism is every 5 minutes and updates it.
You know why I don't like that? It's because, honestly, it's like if I started speaking in, like, the little, like, little jokes or little, like, the way I talk to my friends or, like, whatever. And, like, because I'm a gamer. I play video games, or if I talk with running slang, like, or video game slang, or say I did football and there's probably slang for that, or hockey. Like, I think there's, like, what? Like a hat trick, that's a hockey slang, like, you know what I mean? Like, using those terminologies in everyday conversation, and then, but they sound normal, and then, like, because
I think we're going, like, way past it, but I think we get the point across here. All right, we're gonna keep going here, folks.
I would like to answer. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Red, white, and Latino! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Red, white, and Latino!
And in class, we had talked a lot about when someone is the target of a witch hunt, they're put into this cartoon form, and then that is the narrative that they build up of this person. It doesn't matter anymore who they are or what they are, but this cartoon is used to the advantage of whoever is hunting the witches, and it's basically more of a strategic move than anything about this person. So Brett was trying to reason with the students and let them know that he wasn't this cartoon that maybe they had been taught he was, and kind of, well, yeah, just explain himself. And they weren't having it at all.
Debate means you are trying to win. Dialectic means you are using disagreement to discover what is true. I am not interested in debate. I am interested only in dialectic, which does mean I listen to you and you listen to me.
We don't care what terms you want to speak on. This is not about you.
I'm talking.
We are not
This is
speaking
all
on
about him.
On terms of white privilege. This is not a discussion. You have lost that one.
I am talking about terms that serve the truth. Those are the terms. Listen, do you understand? History could pivot in this hallway right now. If we turn it. Oh my God! Listen to me. Yes, I know. History could pivot in the direction of the values that you are standing here for.
Yeah, resign.
What?
Resign.
I'm not resigning.
Okay.
If I owe an apology, I will deliver it.
Wait, hey. Ho, ho. Brett Weinstein's got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Brett Weinstein's got to go. Hey.
At one point, they all kind of just left, and a couple of them were kind of like jumping and dancing around like it was it just seemed really bizarre, like a carnival type atmosphere, which was just really unsettling.
Oh, seriously?
So I'm gonna set up the next video in this because we're gonna go to video 2 at least.
How long have we been going, by the way?
Just about an hour and 10 minutes, about almost an hour and 15.
This is a 16-minute video.
There was a lot we needed to kind of cover in this. There was a lot that we needed to sort of break down on this.
Bruh.
I really don't want to go more than 2 hours on this, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't want to go more than 2 hours. The rest of the other videos aren't.
Dude, this is that was crazy.
It did require the conversations, though.
It totally did, but still.
So this is the interesting thing, because when she talks about the witch hunts, I actually should be setting
She's
up.
right, though.
This is the other thing. This was something, because this is something that's actually hit me now that I've seen this a few times, because now that I'm with you.
Yeah.
When we're talking about witch hunts, obviously. We're talking about this cartoon form of things.
Yeah.
But remember Naomi Lowe at the beginning when she's talking about, black people in the wild, which is incredibly racist concept. Was she not also, when she's characterizing black people, not engaging in a witch hunt, but setting the stage for a witch hunt and basically turning people like herself into cartoon characters?
I feel like she was characterizing herself, honestly.
Well,
because how she described it, she didn't really describe it as like, oh, all these people. She specifically described a specific type of person, and I don't know, I just felt like she was just trying to describe herself and that group of people that I guess she associates herself with. I don't know.
What she was trying to describe, and she very well may have projected her own boisterous personality onto it, and there's no problem with having big personalities, but the issue is that she applied it to everyone, and she basically, I mean, you said it was a caricature, but I actually see it more as like the reverse. Maybe it's kind of like the reverse witch hunt. It's sort of like you're still turning people into a cartoon form, but instead of, in a way, it kind of is a witch hunt, because she's basically saying that that black people can't that they can't have certain mannerisms. So it is sort of a witch hunt, that if you see a black person that doesn't act like that, she's already set the stage that then they're not really. So that is sort of it's a witch hunt without a witch hunt. It's a cartoon in a cartoon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. That one's a little.
I'm just trying to. I'm just like what's a little sus?
A little sus, man.
My thoughts on this?
Because it wasn't. Sometimes it's hard to formulate a thought.
Sometimes it is. How did you feel like? What the heck are these racist emails Brett sent? Okay, so Giorgio, I'm gonna answer your question on this.
You could
what are these? So Brett didn't send racist emails. What Naomi and the rest of the Equity Council alleged, and what because these were teachers and staff members who got the emails that Brett sent out. Brett sent emails out in response to the Equity Council's order that for the day of absence, that for that year at Evergreen, students who were black or who identified as people of color, so you could, we're talking like Native American, we're talking like Hispanic, they could stay on campus and the teachers could stay on campus to teach their classes, but that everybody else optionally should leave. That ended up turning out into being a semi-mandatory sort of thing based on social pressure. That's what happened. So Brett, normally the day of absence is that, and this wasn't okay either. The day of absence was that students and faculty of color leave campus. So that back in 2017 was the reverse of it. And what Brett said is that it's not okay to do it either way. And the social, and I don't know if he highlighted this, but he highlights this later in his own videos and his own work, that that the social pressure that's under in order for people to participate in this is so great that it's just wildly inappropriate, and that that it's basically spitting in the face of liberal values. Well, what? And those members of the Equity Council didn't like it. He did specifically, and the Equity Council.
That's true. Yeah.
And the Equity Council didn't like it. And he does point out he does specifically mention 2 of the Equity Council members. That's because, and you have to understand, this is how it works in a lot of places of higher ed employment, that some of these committees and councils are public for the faculty to go to, and there's meeting minutes and there's documentation, kind of like a board and stuff. So there is documentation about what happened in those, and the faculty, even if they're not a part of it, get to go and participate or at least be audience members. And so Brett, I believe, was in the audience of some of these. Some other faculty members were too. He just wasn't on the Equity Council. And so there was back and forth about that. I think this comes out way later in the series, but that's something that a lot of people probably don't know, is that that's what the Equity Council is. Sort of like it's a body of faculty members that they created for a purpose that has to do with faculty related stuff.
The reason why they got mad was because of his response, and for some reason the students found out about it.
So it wasn't somehow the students found out about it. It was that Naomi and the others printed it out and gave it to them, and then the students basically kept copying and printing it and handing it out, and she gave it to her activist students to distribute on purpose because she was upset about it.
Well,
they can't prove it, but actually, I mean, you can't prove it. It had to be. You can't.
Someone had to print it.
Someone had to print it. It wasn't just that, but only, as far as I'm aware, only only faculty members were on that email.
And that's a good point too. But my
and obviously Brett. I mean, come on, was Brett really printing those emails to start a fight going on campus? No, that's out of control, and that's not what.
I don't even think he printed the.
Well, he didn't think it was going to be a thing. Well, he didn't have to print them. They were on his email server. He didn't have to print them. Is anyone saying anything? Find out who started the day of absence. He criticized the Equity Council. Yeah, that's what it was. He was, like I said, he was criticizing the Equity Council. Find out who started the day of absence. I really don't want to find out who started this, or where it started from, or if Evergreen was the first, or if Evergreen just got on a bandwagon. Maybe I should write that down and just do a little bit of a look at it.
No.
But it should not be a video. I don't think it deserves to be a video. I think it just deserves to be a locals post where I'm just like, and this is where it started from. I bet you somebody has already looked at that, though.
Probably. No, but it was just ridiculous, dude. This whole thing is ridiculous. Like, how they were doing that was absolutely, like, there was no debate or discussion. It was just an absolute, like, in their words, it was like a carnival. They were right.
It was a carnival because they were on a witch hunt, and they were like,
horrible.
And we go.
No, they were
to kill the witch.
Well, no, it wasn't to kill the witch. It's more like hi ho, off to verbally execute the teacher.
Okay, well, this comes out way later, but there were times where some of the students may or may not have had mace and other stuff on their person to maybe use against people.
Bruh, I would just take a self-defense class and go like...
We're gonna keep going, folks.
If I was the teacher, I would have just took a something.
We're gonna keep going.
Disarm.
We're gonna keep going. We're not gonna go on this crazy train.
Oh, seriously?
You don't block me. Out of my way. Out of my way now.
Radio Evergreen 1, send backup from county immediately. We are in M2, the D building. We will need the responding units out by the front loop. We have several students that are blocking the door. We have information that there's a faculty member that's being held in there.
Radio Evergreen 6. Here's some of the group is starting to disperse and is heading towards the red square.
Copy that. County units are en route and should be to you in just a few minutes. For Brett Weinstein, so we can ascertain his safety. The students have moved towards Red Square at this point. When Thurston County arrives, just have them stand down at the bus loop right now until we have a better idea of what we've got going on here. Copy that.
You know, like, I like the energy, but we need to have, like, a strategy and a message before we just show up places, or else everything can get fragmented. But if people are down to debrief and talk about what just happened, where can we go?
Now, I don't think it would be very difficult at all if people were willing to listen to each other, to sit down and 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe an hour, get to understand where each other are coming from. We might not reach agreement about what to do, but there would not be so much misunderstanding about what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, what it is.
This is gonna come up a lot in this situation, is that Brett does this online too, a decent human being, but it's hard to kind of get it through him sometimes. I think when people talk to him is that he's grown up a little bit since this incident, but there's still some interesting thoughts here, is that they're speaking on a different language. Like, he wants to have a civil conversation, obviously.
Yeah, I think most people want civil conversation. Clearly not this group.
No. And in fact,
they want just change. They don't want to take the steps in between. They want immediate response, immediate change. They want... Some of them were saying his resignation in the last video. It's like... Now he's still trying to be open about it, clearly, and he just wants a civil discussion. He wants... You say stuff, I listen. I say stuff, you listen.
Also, did you hear? So eventually, Benjamin's going to explain where the red square is. But what does the red square remind you of? What does that make you think of? But what does, like, the concept of a red square make you think of?
A red square? What is a red square?
In terms of history, think of history. What would a red
history? A red square.
Think of like a red scare.
Square, right?
Well, it's a square, but I'm talking about, think of like what would be similar to it if we're talking about a red scare. What was a red scare historically?
I don't know what a red scare is.
What is McCarthyism?
I don't know what McCarthyism?
You didn't learn about McCarthyism?
No, I know what Marxism is, but I don't know what McCarthyism is.
So, a history lesson, folks. I guess there's some young people out there who don't know this.
Well, you do have to understand that a lot of important, I feel like history, I just don't think I got to learn everything, because they had to focus on a lot of specific things that sometimes was kind of useless, but they did a pretty good job.
So the Red Scare is tied with McCarthyism. McCarthyism was basically McCarthyism is the act of accusing someone of being a communist, even if you don't have proof of it.
Oh, yeah, no, they didn't talk about that.
They didn't talk about that, and it was made famous by, and I'm oversimplifying some of it, but McCarthyism was done by Joseph McCarthy, who was a senator in the United States Senate.
Yeah, no, they didn't talk about this.
This was during. I can't remember if this was during Nixon's presidency or right before that or right after that.
I didn't know
that was the height.
Well, I've never heard of the word, but I know what you're talking about.
This was also right during. This was right at the beginning of the end of. Do you know Chinese exclusion?
Okay, I was gonna say that I do know the concept of what you're talking about.
Right, but do you know about Chinese exclusion?
I think I know this actually. I think because a couple of the games we played talk about this stuff a little bit in like some of the.
Well, what is the Chinese exclusion clause? Well, like, do you know what that is?
That was wasn't that like because they had, it was either prisoners or they had.
No. So that was Japanese. That was the. What was it? That was when they basically did the camps with the Japanese during World War II. But Chinese exclusion is it was a long-standing principle. Well, it was more of a, I believe, 20th century thing where if you were Chinese, you could not get married in the U.S. You could not.
What?
Well, it's because Chinese weren't allowed to be citizens.
When did that
in
stop?
America? That stopped, I want to say, sometime right after McCarthyism, but I can't. Right after the Red Scare waves, sort of.
Yeah,
stopped.
We didn't learn about.
You didn't learn about Chinese exclusion?
No.
You didn't know that. I mean, we didn't talk about it in depth because of the way I'm sort of talking about it.
We didn't even cover the concept of that.
You didn't cover that. You didn't know. You did not know.
I think I understand the basics, but I don't know all the details of it at all.
So you didn't know that in America there was a period of time where Chinese were not allowed to immigrate here. You didn't know
That's
that.
the one I knew, like, immigration-wise, that we frowned upon it, but I do not remember everything about it.
That was a law. You could not be a United States citizen if you were Chinese. That was a law.
I didn't even know that. That's kind of messed up. Well, I guess it's different time period, but still. I didn't even know that.
There was also the Red Scare after World War I. Okay.
Yeah, no, we just talked
Holy
about
hell! Okay, so Giorgio, let's follow up on this. So they're not yelling at Brett because there are not every student. So this is 2017. This is way before. This is 2017, and I said this earlier in the stream, is the height of Black Lives Matter in terms of before COVID. Obviously, its popularity has changed now.
Yeah.
But back then, this is the height of it. Not all students, at least on Evergreen, it was popular. But there are students, and there's clips of this, where he has students that are on his side anyway. They're in his class. They interact with him. Most, if not all of his students don't have a problem with him, and they're shocked by this. They're there to defend him. There's a lot of students that are also there who are curious because they're hearing rumors. They're like, well, I think he's a pretty cool guy. There's actually, and this happens later, so I'm sort of spoiling some stuff. There's this really awful, and it's only an audio segment, where there's this, young lady who's trying to talk with him. And she's clearly, because people are calling out and sort of, I would say almost sort of, I wouldn't call it a cat calling, but sort of like a race calling to her, because she's clearly black. Mm-hmm. And they're telling her that, why are you trying to talk to him? Why are you trying to talk to him? He's a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist. And she's trying to have a civil conversation. She's like, listen, this is a private conversation. We're just trying to have a conversation. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I just want to get to know him. And they are mocking her relentlessly. This isn't at this point right now, but this is like way later on, where they're just relentlessly mocking somebody for trying to talk with Brett.
I hate mob mentality, dude. It's so horrible.
You hate the madness of crowds?
Well, no, what I hate about it is I hate the people who try to take advantage of it and use it for their own personal gain. I hate that so much. It's so messed up.
All right, we're going to keep going here. But this is, like I was saying before, just because we got off topic, because I need to explain what McCarthyism was and Chinese exclusion, which you didn't know about.
Okay, so
is that
so why did I need to know Mark?
Well, I brought it up because I was trying to get you to understand. I thought it was interesting that they have a red square and they're clearly a heavily socialist campus. Communist socialist campus, and they have a red square.
I wouldn't really say. You can't always say
Hunter,
communism.
some of these people describe themselves as socialist communists. Some of these people describe themselves as communists. Some of these people on this campus describe themselves like that.
Well, I try to be nice. If they're gonna just dig their own grave, they can do that by themselves.
So you're trying to say, oh, Justice, they're not Hunter. This is in their own words. This is literally what they're describing themselves as.
I tried to give them benefit of the doubt. And
This
they
is
disappoint
there
me.
are faculty members literally
Why?
on the Equity Council and literally on
Why
other things
can't-
that describe themselves as
Why do
socialists
they-
and communists.
Why must they disappoint
You tried to give them the
me?
benefit of the doubt. You're like, this isn't really what's happening at Evergreen.
No.
Come on, relax, Come on, relax, Justice. This is fine.
It's not even relax. It's
Hunter. They call themselves socialists. This is real. I'm just trying to tell you what's really going on.
That's pretty. I try to give them benefit of doubt, but I clearly, I was clearly wrong.
Are you trying to turn the why are you zooming in and out?
I'm allowed to do what I want. Okay.
Let's go back to the
I'm
video,
allowed to
folks.
do what
He's
I
gonna
want.
He's gonna mess with the camera. I'm gonna go.
That you folks are trying to accomplish, and I believe it would be valuable.
Yeah, I understand that, but also these students are angry, and their anger is valid. And here's my email. I will organize with them and schedule. So let me know when you're free to have that discussion, and we will figure something out with the students.
Fair enough.
It's locked.
It's locked?
It's locked.
Is she in there? She's in there. I saw her go in there.
You don't need to do that. You're black. Let the white people do that. You can tell
White people, can you tell him why we're concerned? White people speak.
White people speak.
Yo, white people to the front.
I think it's important that all administration are in the same place so that they can no longer lie and hold themselves all accountable at the same place at the same time with all these cameras. So I would like Stacey Brown. Damn right.
On uniform.
Yes. On uniform.
Yeah.
On uniform right now.
Without the taser, she don't need none of that. Why the fuck? We're not gonna give her nothing.
We're peaceful.
They have students
we
saying
have
that
no
they-
guns up in this place because supposedly this is a weapon-free zone. So if you're going to invite your cops, please let them leave their weapons here. Because where do we have a weapon on us? Where?
Exactly.
We don't have pocket knives. We don't have guns. We don't have anything. So
Y'all do it
if
on
you're gonna
bias. Y'all
comment,
expect us
please
to
tell
have
them come
weapons.
here.
I want to listen. I can't promise you I'm going to get her.
Can everybody dial Evergreen's number and make calls to the campus police office to get Stacey Brown here?
Yeah. Some people stay recording though.
I'm recording. We recording 86767. Look at her. Look at where you going. Where you going, sis? Sis. Wendy. Okay, so Wendy's gonna go. Community love.
Evergreen Police? Yeah, is Stacey Brown there? The chief of police is in a meeting. Can I help you? Yeah, she needs to come to the library right now. For what? She just needs to be here. For what? She needs to come to the library. For what reason? What's going on?
Hi, can you bring Stacey Brown into the library?
For what reason do you need my chief to come to the library?
No, Stacey Brown, come to the library.
For what reason does the chief need to come to the library?
There is a meeting of students with the administration in the library right now.
We have not heard of any meeting with the administration. No one has contacted us.
Well, there is one right now, and I am informing you about that meeting.
Okay, well, when the administration calls us and asks us to come to the meeting, we'll go to that meeting.
Okay, we called Stacey Brown, right? That's the roach's name? Okay. She refuses to come, hung up.
So what if we had a real emergency and they just won't help us? Like,
Right.
What about?
Do we have to be white for you to help?
How are we supposed to be safe here on campus if we can't even get help from people who are supposed to protect us?
That sounds like another
They
lawsuit.
fear from us. They fear of us trying to mace us in the eyes and shit. For what? For us saying hey, Brett, you need to apologize? For what fucking white guy?
Is there any black folks that need water in here?
Community love!
Community love!
This is a public institution, so our parents
parents and our grandparents and our community members, they're paying taxes right now. And when our parents are calling, addressing issues, saying there are racist situations or confrontations going on campus, and you guys are deliberately saying this is not happening right now, when you have a good 200 people standing in a room, you're still telling parents and community that this is not happening. So I don't understand that you need to do something at this moment so that our parents can get through to understand to you.
Community love! Community love! Community love!
We have a room. Do you want to stay here or do you want to go to the room 4300 upstairs? Big
Go to that room. White people in front and in back.
She said,
white people protect students of color.
Specific concerns, and we talked about
So you had some reactions, facial reactions, at the start of the video with when they started specifically, when the students were starting to specifically address students, other people in the room by color only. You were pretty shocked by that.
Oh.
Have you ever heard that or seen that before?
Seen what?
Have you ever seen groups of students our age address people in a room by their color only?
I mean, kind of, but...
But like that.
I would say whenever they did it, for the most part, they were just trying to be jerks.
See,
but these were the opposite of these people. These were like the actual people who bullied people and stuff.
In
But they didn't do it a
context,
lot, though.
we went to high school in the city of Gardner, which is right next door, and it's not like it really should be a town, but it's not really that big anymore.
That's
but
a different
That's a
debate.
different conversation for a different day. But yeah, no, there was a lot of and I've had conversations with people about this before, about how people call it quote unquote urban, simply because there's more people who have darker skin tone. People would throw around some pretty bad racial slurs sometimes, but
Oh no, they threw a lot more than that. I mean, I was
there were some bad
let's
moments.
just say you did
there
not
were some uncomfortable moments.
To say that you saw the worst of it, you didn't. You didn't see anywhere near the worst of it. My grade was the absolute worst when it came to that kind of stuff.
But they were throwing around racial slurs. Now, how do you feel about when they were identifying people simply based off of race and being like, you know,
obviously I think it's
white
ridiculous.
people give us water. Like, how what was that? Like, like your facial expression was like, did I really hear that?
No, because it didn't make any. What it was like, it was so weird. Like, why are we? It's like, hey, why do you have to say it like that? Why can't you just say, hey, does anyone need water? No. We're just gonna start throwing these words out. We're just gonna like, oh,
we're gonna start giving only water to people
you
are
over there.
We're gonna give water only to people.
Get over here. Give me water.
Adrian says that it's a cult. It is a cult.
Well, obviously it's a cult. They keep saying community love over and over.
Giorgio says, I want to see the slow process of brainwashing for this. What does the organizing look like behind the scenes for this? Ladies and gentlemen, so this is actually the good part about this entire series. Maybe we do need to do more reaction videos to this for the public.
We'll do the whole thing, but
you want to do the whole thing?
I keep saying it because you can't just start something and not finish it. If you don't finish it, it's because...
Well, we're not doing that today. That is hell not happening. No. That is not happening.
What I'll say about this is that we should continue doing it. And I should also say that we, as individuals, and this is just putting this out there so people understand the context of this, I would say, for generations, our generation has, because we went to, we went to, like, Narragansett when we were younger. We were in that school district and all that. And, honestly, we didn't really have a lot of, like, that wasn't really a, like, it was kind of, because it was socially awkward, but...
Right, but let's get back onto this. Because I know kind of where you're going with this, but I want to get back onto the whole,
Okay.
My thing is that, Giorgio, to sort of go back to your comment, Benjamin does and this is why I really, if you want to understand some of what's going on, at least the build up to where we are now, because this is extremely relevant.
Yeah.
Watch all 25 episodes of this. The complete Evergreen story is 25 episodes long. It is completely worth it. Because later on, Benjamin, it's like after episode 12 or 15 or something, where we get into and this is me spoiling again, but there's a lot of like I can really spoil as much as I want, because here's the deal. It's been out for a few years, but also it is hard to believe that this stuff is real until you see it. I mean, we saw stuff a couple of years ago with the burning and the looting and the crazy.
But this is before
is before that. This is over 3 years before that happened.
These are the type of steps that were taken in order for that type of event to happen.
But also remember, Evergreen was ahead of its time in terms of, well, I shouldn't say ahead of its time, positively ahead of its time in terms of
problems,
in terms of revealing what this would start to look like.
They were like some of the first clearly publicly documented.
Well, this is the other thing too, and this is the thing that this is why people say go woke, bro. Well, this isn't why they say go woke, go broke, but Evergreen is in an economic free fall right now because of these events. They've always had issues every year since, because they've been having declining enrollment. They were having increasing enrollment, but these events specifically set that off. Well, not this event. This is they are kind of taking people hostage in this. But
hostage isn't quite the word, because
this isn't hostage. She invited them up there.
That's what I'm saying. You can't say it's hostage anymore.
Now he hasn't. He has actually made all of his other staff members at this hostage. Now they are hostage. The other, like Wendy and them, they are hostage. They're trying to lure the chief of police over. And by the way, those are official. I'm sure you're aware of this. Those are official police records.
Those are the official police records of
that you're hearing.
Call that they made. And if you heard it, and which we did, that was
they're trying to lure her over without an explanation. That is classic.
That's what I hate about people who don't explain what they're doing or what they're talking about. When people do that, it's the same.
Oh, Adrian finds these hilarious. Apparently, people like our energy. Apparently, people like our energy when we're just like not.
Well, I wasn't talking about us. I think you can't. The audience, whoever's.
You just hit the can.
It's fine. It's not that bad.
Sorry, folks. He just hit it. He whacked it.
Listen, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
I just worry about these things because I'm just looking at the
Don't worry about it.
But my thing is this.
Listen.
Don't
worry about it.
But my thing is this, that I lost my train of thought.
You're welcome. No, his point is that this is like they show the actual records and such, and that it was they clearly were not. They were going down a path.
Well, no, this is going down the path of insanity. But no, like I said, going back to Giorgio's point, Ben does a really good job of showing where this sort of came from. Yeah. A lot of the work that Naomi Lowe does is all over this, and you will not believe some of the other actors and actresses who make an appearance in some of the work of some of this on Evergreen State College campus.
Wait, actors and actresses get involved?
No. I just mean, I'm using that term loosely. I'm talking about like other really...
Oh, characters? Like people who are...
Okay, do you know who Robin DiAngelo is?
Robin DiAngelo? That sounds like an important person.
Folks, Hunter, where have you been?
Justice, I'm a gamer, dude. I sleep.
I have told you about the book Nice Racism. I have told you about that book. I have told you about the book.
I didn't read it.
White Fragility.
You told me about that one, but
I told you about White Fragility.
I didn't read it.
White Fragility, why it's hard for white people to talk about racism, or something like that. That might be the other tagline. I don't know.
Well, it's hard because obviously, duh. Of course it's hard to talk about it. It's awkward, dude.
I can't believe that you don't know who. Well, anyway, Robin...
Okay, to act like I don't sleep under a rock on everything is ridiculous. You should just accept the fact that you were going to be talking to someone who's no clue what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, you're not educated on this topic at all. You're just a regular person out in the world who says this is insane.
Yeah, I'm what you would call the best version of a blind reactor, because I will always be purely blind.
I ran for school committee and knew about all this stuff, and I've been on channels about this stuff, and then presenting L lives across the hallway from me. Doesn't even know who Robin DiAngelo is.
You have to understand the type of person I am, because I live.
Oh no, he does not care about politics. He just thinks these people are insane.
I hate politics for a good reason, because a lot of politicians and politics is. It's not debate.
We should get back to the video.
It's still on the video.
Civic solutions. And I know you're angry, I know you're frustrated, I know you're pissed off. And I will tell you right now, we can't change the institution without your help, and this is help.
Do you care about our safety? Do you?
Very much.
Okay, so why are the police trying to like fucking mace us and shit for us telling Brett that he needs to go?
That's the fact that they brought mace.
Do I have the authority to change the outcomes of that proceeding? And the Attorney General of the state of Washington said no.
Yeah, and the issue is that you're letting other people do it.
Put your hand down. That's my problem, George. You keep doing these little hand movements or whatever. Like,
Come through.
this is another show. Yeah. And I'm gonna decolonize the space. I'll just be rolling around.
Going back.
Well, that girl is just trying to get attention, dude.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, let me go dance. Let me strip my stuff.
Do you know what decolonizing the space means?
I don't even know what that means. This sounds
a
so
lot of
weird.
people don't, and you want to know what it really means. A bunch of nothing,
dude. I'm gonna.
If we want to be totally honest,
half this vocabulary, I'm just gonna forget because.
Anyway,
it's ridiculous.
Every Tuesday for Dean's meeting, when there is a discussion about something that's happening within a program, their focus is student success. It is. I mean, you may not believe it, but that's the main thing.
Okay. I'm talking about white students or colored students.
We're talking about all students.
This is also.
You're oppressing students that are paid to be here. So how are faculty more important than students? And we're not talking about white students right now. We're talking about students of color and how you're going to help accommodate to us.
We're not talking about all students neither. We're talking about specifically students of color.
Right, because you I believe you. You guys have a big demographic of being a predominantly white school, and there's no doubt that you guys do make things accessible and good for white students. But that's the issue: is you're leaving out too many of us that deserve it too.
Yeah. Institutional change is slow here.
Oh!
Whether it's slow or not, the change is going to happen now. You can see that everybody's ready for it. So, slow as in 20 years or so, you still have the ability to make impact today. Why wait another 20 years?
When it gets to the level of the violation of the contract, we can have discussions, we can talk, but there are no requirements.
Well, I think there is a lot of issues with violation of the contract, but I don't know about y'all, but a lot of my emails get ignored. So how can you say you're hearing my story and knowing what's being violated if you won't even listen?
My question is, why do we have faculty that work here that make our students feel uncomfortable and unsafe?
Yeah. It's a simple question.
All right, so we're getting a lot of feedback that there's some buffering, so we're just gonna take a moment and just talk and see what that does.
Well, let's get this clear. It's like that. If they're talking about the text on screen, it's blurry for us as well.
It's blurry for us as well. So let's just so we'll just have a little bit of a conversation here. Oh, I actually don't know where we are in this. Okay, we're kind of back to live. Okay, so we're back. Wow, I see a buffalo symbol over another one. That's how great our internet access is. Remember, we're one of the 6 houses in Templeton that doesn't have cable access.
This is not a plea for it. This is just
our reality.
Yeah.
So
we've accepted this fate.
So let's talk about
this is why we have the Ethernet cable.
I don't know if we're gonna go through this whole second video.
We have the Ethernet cable in too.
So let's talk about this. So I don't know if we're gonna go through. I'm gonna try and figure out where.
How bad this is, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if all of this is really worth it, if I remember correctly. I know some of you are
A lot
probably going to
of
be
it is
disappointed.
the same
So
kind of
they are
thing back and
just...
forth, I think.
So first of all, you don't understand what colonizing the space means. We may have to rewatch the canoe meeting, so you can maybe get a little bit of a clearer sense as you don't want to watch the canoe meeting, do you?
Not this second.
Not this second. What I'm trying to figure out is
that canoe meeting needs to
the
happen.
canoe meeting.
Wait, is it in this video?
No. It's the it's a meeting of some of the members who were on the Equity Council and some of the lead up to that. So I did fast forward a little bit, but it's the same stuff going on over and over again. What's your reaction so far to this? So just a reminder that President George Bridges of Evergreen State College, at this point, he's no longer the president anymore, but he didn't get fired because of all this. Believe it or not, he actually survived this episode of Crazy.
Left himself.
He has basically trapped his own faculty in this mess, invited the students into the largest room in the administration building at the room 4,300, and now the faculty is basically being witch hunted by a mob that is holding them captive practically in that room. They're not going to let you leave easily, basically.
Well, okay, it's because...
They may let you leave, but that was never fully tested here. They let them hold them for quite a while.
Let's get this clear. They were not going to let them leave.
So when I told you about
what they wanted.
So this, believe it or not, when I told you about this situation, I told you about how at Evergreen State College they trapped everybody on camp. How it basically got into the national spotlight because of the when the administration started getting trapped in, and that's when people started really picking up on it online. This isn't even the part where George Bridges, because George Bridges has allowed this to happen. He's basically said, "Come on up." Yeah. This is actually not the part of the story. The videos where Brett gets cornered and stuff, those ones helped spring it to be viral, but it's the next few days of this that spiraled this out of control. This is actually not as out of control as it gets, because you remember at the beginning of the first video it shows those students barricading the library door with chairs and desks. We're not at that point yet. This is him trying to appease them.
I would also like to take a second to just remind that we've paused multiple times. I would recommend some of you just watch all of this, because they're not long videos. We're just taking more time and talking all about how we're digesting how crazy this is. And
watch the videos on your own. They are in the description, and you can find the entire playlist on Benjamin's channel.
Yeah, because if you, I would recommend doing it, because it would give you a better understanding of what we're talking about.
You don't even remember. You don't even actually understand all of this. You just think this is wild.
How am I not supposed to think this is crazy? It's crazy. It's nuts.
All right, let's see if...
Like these peanuts I'm eating right now.
Oh, yeah, he's eating peanuts. All right, we're going to mute, and we're going to go back.
Your efforts have worked. We're here together because none of your efforts have worked.
This is the first time, a lot of times, when people get to college where they have to have those conversations, and maybe they've never even verbalized these things before. And so it can get really tricky, and we completely understand that. And we also understand that people are all speaking from their own truth. So when you hear from students, when you hear from your peers, what they're saying about their experience is true for them, and that should never be discounted.
So I hold a lot of different kinds of privilege. The two that are probably the most operative in my teaching are the fact that I'm white and I'm cisgender.
I am cisgender, black female, and straight.
I am a cisgender, straight woman. I am an immigrant, and getting a green card for me is something that has given me a lot of privilege.
I am a cisgendered woman who is white and queer, and a first person in my family to go to college, and I grew up working class, and I am not disabled, and I'm fat. And those are all identities that are important to me.
I have a skin color that's different than sort of a lot of people of power, but I'm a male, I'm straight, I'm cis, highly educated. My particular education is in math and physics, which gives me a lot of sort of space to be kind of the, oh, well, the scientist doesn't have to worry about social justice, right? Science is about the truth.
The list of identities for which you might have privilege, I can check off all of them, aside from being a woman.
When I walk into the room, I don't know whether it's male privilege, white privilege, over-educated privilege, you know, it's down the whole list, ableism, age. I can be helpful for white, cisgender, heteronormative men who are trying to figure out what to do, holding lots of cards of privilege about how to move forward in a meaningful, respectful way with respect to social justice.
I don't know if I said my pronouns and I don't remember, and that's my cisgendered privilege showing.
So Hunter wants us to stop. So
we need to talk about this because this is 2017. We need to take a minute and realize this is 2017. Did we not take a minute and realize in 2017 this ethical board, correct?
Hunter, they're not an ethical board. They're an unethical board. But
yes,
this is I don't know what event this is. I can't remember if there was a subtitle for this, but this is not the Equity Council. This may have some people who go onto the Equity Council, but this is a whole different.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. This is administrators. These are high-level administrators. Wendy is the VP of Student Affairs.
These are administrators, right? That back in 2017, before all this popularity with all of that, they're doing all of this. They're saying cisgender. They're using he, him. They're using all this stuff. All these labels.
I actually did have a moment where I'm watching this, and I noticed what kind of caught your attention was the fact that he was wearing that.
Yeah, he's wearing.
It was when he had the name tag because because we've been all used to this happening for the past couple of years, but it was sort of like a. Wait, I realize that this is 2017 that I'm watching, and why are they doing it then?
Because this is 5 years ago. That wasn't normal. Why did they? Either they're ahead of their time.
This was not normal back at college when I was at Lowell. This was not normal back at UMass.
It wasn't normal okay, I met people like this, but honestly, they were more like, we're chill. And I'm like, all right, then I'm chill with you. I don't have a problem with you. Whatever. Just don't be a jerk about it. All right, cool.
So anyway,
I don't know.
We're going to go back to the video.
But this is no, I
do you have anything else to say, Hunter?
I gotta say, there was too many labels. This is... I also don't... I don't like some of the vocabulary they use for this because I just don't think it works right. Like, it just isn't...
It works well for them because, remember, they have a totally different dictionary on this. You gotta remember, I don't
like the dictionary. I'm sorry.
Hunter, a lot of people don't like their dictionary. They think it's a trash dictionary.
I don't like my dictionary either, okay? So I don't like anyone's dictionary. There you go. That's my opinion. There you go.
I don't think that's going to work.
I'm allowed to have an opinion, clearly, that doesn't make any sense and just get away with it, apparently. That's how this works, right? We can just have opinions and undisputed. Well, your opinion is yours and mine is mine. No. My opinion is clearly more valuable than yours. Yes.
Your attitude offends me.
I don't have an attitude here. This isn't an attitude. An attitude is like...
I think we should keep going.
Very different.
I think we should keep going.
I think we should too.
So I use she and her pronouns. I hear from fellow white people the sentiment, but we're all human, right? We're all people. And a mentor of mine, Norma Alicia Pino, who used to work here, would often talk about truth versus reality. And the fact that it is true that all of us are human. Some of us may also identify as unicorns, but all of us are human. And that the reality is that some humans are treated differently because of systems of oppression.
So I want you to work with a person next to you and talk about what is the truth in that statement. That happened a long time ago, right? Maybe if you want to add it there, that happened a long time ago, you should get over it, right? So, but let's work with that. That happened a long time ago. What is the truth in that? And then what is the reality of this statement?
The reality is that our country was founded on the basis of slavery, and there are still so many ingrained social, economic, basically every shared institution that our society has is still so based in racism. So even if you personally don't have a racist sentiment, that doesn't mean you're not contributing to a racist society.
Damn. This is great. I love working here.
And we are encouraging white staff, faculty, and students to go off campus in order to make the space at Evergreen more centered around people of color.
I believe that we all have values of social justice. I also believe that we don't all have the skills to deal with that. And in particular, when I think about white men, I think about that we are actually trained to not have those skills. So it's such a unique opportunity to come together and spend a couple days and really look more in depth both at the issues of equity, but also to start developing some of those skills that we're going to carry with us so we can live our lives consistent with our values of social justice.
What consequences do faculty members face for making students feel unsafe? What consequences? Because when we make y'all feel unsafe, we get the police and the state troopers and the city police calling us.
So it's a process of changing faculty's culture.
I'm asking, what are you doing?
What are we doing right now?
What consequences are you going to put on these faculty?
Right now, on the faculty currently, we're trying to develop a teaching and learning center to give professional development.
So no consequences, a center, you're going to build a center?
So they don't get fired?
They can't be fired.
And what do you mean? Get fired? What do you mean? For saying the N-word in class, referring to women as whores, they don't get any consequences but a little workshop? What do you mean?
Right, and isn't our money paying for that workshop?
You don't care about
yeah.
our safety.
No.
It's all over.
No. What? No.
So what we were just talking about is, did you see George Bridges in the background against that pillar? We're gonna switch to the next video.
What, you didn't even...
We're gonna go to episode 3. We're gonna try and get through episode 3 as quickly as possible. Like, this is a lot.
Did anyone say anything during
Giorgio was just talking about Uptalk. There was a troll in the chat. I got rid of that.
what did the troll say?
It was just something random. What? It was just like, it was a mess of letters. It didn't make any sense.
You could have just left it, dude.
No, I got rid of it, and I got rid of the,
How often do you...
Alright.
No. Is that gonna work?
Absolute no more.
Oh, this is gonna be another... Oh, this is so annoying.
Watch Mojo, clearly.
Oh, it is? It's a Watch Mojo commercial? Oh, wait a minute. This is playing and people could hear it through the...
Listen, don't worry about it. You didn't hear anything.
That was weird.
You heard nothing.
Yeah, your brain. It was just... Watch Mojo's a weird channel.
Watch Mojo
I try not to listen to them. We're going to video 3. We're gonna try and get through this. This is... I think this is a pretty action-packed one, though. So this is the same day... This is the same day that we've been going. Reminder that what happened with Brett Weinstein was at 9:30 in the morning.
Oh, no.
That was carried over from the last video. This is 12 p.m.
Oh, no.
This is noontime.
They've been there for hours.
They've been there for a few hours. This keeps going for a few more hours.
Dude, it's not holding hostage. It's worse than that, because hostage means they have a chance of getting out of there. No.
Oh, Giorgio was also in the chat talking about a joke about identifying as unicorns. I'm surprised they didn't find that offensive and hitting too close to home. You know what? Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty sure if you clipped that and you put that on a certain Reddit post, they'd probably find that woman and cancel her. You know what cancel culture is, correct? You understand that much?
I know what cancel culture is.
It's, canceling people out of life. Like, you don't have a job, you get them off the internet, throw them.
Cancel culture is also part of activism as well, where it's like...
it's the dark side of activism. It's the dark side of postmodern activism,
it's like,
in my interpretation.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to...
Closer is better.
Okay. Just don't want us to hit it.
We're not...
I'm not... I didn't mute us, did I?
No.
I
Check
don't
it.
think so. I'm like trying to move this around. No, we're good.
Yeah,
I'm just like, there's so much going on.
Well, you're not used to this kind of stuff. I'm a little bit better than that, but I haven't really showed you anything else.
Vom is always spam. It is. Yeah, that's what popped up. It was like .vom today or something. It was weird.
.vom? What's .vom?
It's weird people that chat and stuff. That happens in my comments sometimes. Like, it's just, and then I have to kind of get rid of it or delete it or do whatever I gotta do.
Oh, is it like a bot?
I think it's like a weird bot thing.
Yeah, it's a bot, I think. That sounds like a
But
bot.
anyway, we're going to go forward. We're going to keep watching this. This is the last of the videos that we're going to do tonight. And hopefully this is crazy enough that it keeps you, like, on the edge of your seat, that you don't want, that we only want to talk a little bit at some points, but...
I hope so. I mean, this is just... It's crazy. I need more definitions of the word crazy. Clearly, I need to expand my vocabulary to match how absolutely
Hunter, I don't think
atrocious
you
this
can really
is.
expand your vocabulary to sort of deal with this, because there really isn't any other way to describe this, because it's kind of like what we were talking about with the canoe meeting and the goals, and it's like they're talking about how are you going to help us? How are you going to help us? Or being oppressed, or being oppressed, or being oppressed. But they can't name any specific instance because in their world, anything that they feel uncomfortable about, and that's sort of what happened at the end of the last video, was that they're talking about how they want Brett to be fired simply because he said something that they didn't like. That's what we're dealing with.
It's very rare to see a teacher fired anyway. You have to have real reasons too. Like, you have to, and mind you,
not real reasons, but that's a whole other conversation I don't want to get into about this stuff.
I mean, I've seen a teacher fired. One of my
Hunter, I've seen some people fired, but that's
my teachers got fired. That was funny.
How did your teacher get fired?
I can't really talk about it much because I may or may not see them quite often nowadays, and it's hilarious. It's actually really funny.
Oh my god.
They were horrible. All you need to know is they were not a good teacher, and I still don't know my fractions.
Well, you heard
That's all you need to know. I didn't learn my fractions.
That's true. You don't know proportions.
No, because this was back in I'm not gonna say the year, but like I was in like 7th grade or whatever, and basically that.
Oh, it was then. Oh, I didn't think it was back then. I have no idea where.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm talking about middle school. Basically, it was in the Gardner system, but one of the teachers, my teacher, got fired because one of them had left to go to a different school. And
you know what? We don't need to talk about this on the stream. Let's go back to the video.
Yeah, I got to.
Mostly white people in this room, and I'm loving the loving here. And well, how is it that the faculty, the ones with power, are the ones that ain't got no sense? All these white people here are the ones that got sense, and they don't even work for you. How is it that the people are teaching us are the ones that ain't got no sense? Apparently, we should be the teachers. Why can't I fire them? Why can't you fire them? Hire some of these students here that apparently knows how to act.
At approximately 9:30 in the morning, a group of about 50 students were organizing a peaceful protest against anti-black remarks that a faculty member, Brett Weinstein, had made in past emails. Weinstein came out of the D building after receiving reports of the students' plans, attempting to block the students from entering the building.
He came out to us, we were all gathered outside. He opened the door and said, hey, what's going on? Because my students already told me what's going on pretty much.
For transparency, we did block him at first. He was trying to leave, but however, we didn't. We had a conversation with him, whatever conversation is.
And we asked Weinstein to take responsibility for his actions and the statements that he made in his anti-black emails. Students were understandably upset, but were not overtly threatening him in any harmful way.
I don't care. I read your email. It's bullshit. Fuck you.
I'm timed out.
Fuck your students.
Brett Weinstein began filming the students once they entered the building, but was contesting their rights to film him.
My instinct that if you guys are going to record me, well, I want a record of the thing too, so you can't edit it. That, I think, was the right instinct. It turned out not to be necessary because it's not my fault. Took the videos and made them public, and the videos spoke for themselves.
Do you remember
asking them not to film you, or refusing them to film you, or
I don't think
them
I did.
At all? Okay.
I don't think I did.
The students then peppered Weinstein with questions, asking if he knew that what he did was harmful to both students and the faculty of color. He replied that he did not think he was wrong in his actions, which upset both students of color and white students.
If you had attended day of absence, you would have seen that they were talking about white allies. And part of being a white ally is when understanding when you do something that's racist, owning up to it, taking responsibility, and adapting your behavior.
The students chanted and continued to try to make their feelings known to Weinstein, but he was refusing to listen and instead attempted multiple times to take over the discourse and make the students listen to him.
Day of absence has been here longer than I have. I have never protested it until the idea.
Until they make white people like
no.
Exactly. Because you got mad and told white students, oh, they think that's a protest. Keep your fucking ass here.
No.
Yes, you did. We have the emails.
First of all,
we got it from Michigan.
Would you like to hear the answer or not?
No.
The students exited the building while chanting and made their way down the walkways of the Seminar 2 building on the second floor. At this point, the students were attempting to debrief and discuss what just occurred when Officer Timothy Odell arrived and attempted to push through the crowd of white students protecting the people of color and those with disabilities.
You don't block me. Out of my way. Out of my way now.
The police chief, Stacey Brown, also arrived and attempted to assist Odell with accosting people of color. After some time of nonviolent dialogue, the students began to file down the stairs towards the Red Square. By the time most of the group arrived at Red Square, both state troopers and Olympia police showed up and began to threaten students with mace and arrest.
Radio Evergreen 1. Please have Thurston County stand down at this point. We do not need a response. We have the crowd dissipating, just to have them stand by.
Students, fearful for their lives, began retreating towards the library and ultimately ended up in the Trans and Queer Center Unity Lounge trying to stay safe. The white students were then delegated to spread out throughout the library floor and watch for police potentially surrounding the building. The white students did see police surround the building, but as of this point, most of them have retreated.
Let's take a little bit of a bird's eye view of the situation. What we have here is the Sim 2 buildings. They're mapped out in this weird way. It goes Sim A, Sim B, Sim C, Sim D, and Sim E. From what I've gathered, Brett Weinstein's class was in Sim E. The protesters exited and then went down to Sim D, and that's where the police officers saw them. Timothy Odell goes down on the second level, and they have that miniature confrontation. Stacey Brown then goes and seeks an alternate entrance into the area because they believe that because they got a call with students cornering a professor, that the professor would be where the students were. So that's where some of the confusion is. Brett's still in Seminar E. So the students then depart and they go down this ramp here, and then there's some ramps hidden in the building, and then they go and they convene on the grassy knoll. Now, the county police are told to stage in the bus loop. The county police, and this is what Stacey Brown has told me, they never enter Evergreen campus if they are not explicitly asked to do so, because there's too much history with Evergreen students that want to deal with the paperwork or any other inconveniences. County police stage here, the students arrange themselves on the grassy knoll, and then they say that they go and hide out in the Trans and Queer Center in the library building. So here's the library building right here. This is, yes, it's called Red Square. We can keep on laughing about that, but that's just what it's called. Police services are in Lab 1, which is over here. And this is, again, the administration and library building. And actually, you can see this little shadow and this little patio. That is Library 4300, where most of the rest of the day's footage will take place. So the students, by their own admission, flee for their lives. Well, video shows them standing in place, but they flee for their lives. They go and hide out in one of the rooms in here for trans and queer people. And then the white people are supposed to disperse through the building, and the white people apparently see police surrounding the library building, which is impossible. Well, I guess it's technically possible, but I need to tell you, there's only 2 active police officers on the Evergreen campus at any given time. There's no way that they're going to surround a building, but I guess it just doesn't matter at this point what's truth and reality. So that's just a little map, and let's get back to the show.
This is all that the students know to have happened at this time. The students are trying their best to get their message across in a peaceful manner, but only our...
So what are your thoughts at this point? Because now we've just kind of got from the bird's eye view of that situation.
I mean, I don't know.
Yelling is nonviolent in dialogue. Sure.
Yelling?
Giorgio. It's a whole thing. So, I don't know what I want to get into on this particular issue is, notice that the way that Benjamin's sort of displaying this set of videos is that she is in room 4,300.
Yeah.
They're at the top level near that patio area that you just saw in that video.
Yeah.
They are dictating to the staff what they sort of... I actually can't... This may have been the next day, or this may have been when they were up there. It might have been when they were up there.
This is someone explaining
the events.
But look,
this is someone explaining the events, but look. This is not matching up because they're like fleeing for their lives. They're doing all this stuff. The protesters are instructing people to get in the way of the cops. They're instructing people to be in these dangerous situations, which, by the way, since hashtag the revolution will be televised and will be streamed live on YouTube and Facebook.
What's that?
What I'm just saying is that, like, one of the other elements of why we can see the story of how...
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that people, I think, and this becomes a little bit more obvious when we're watching this side by side, is that what they have... Do you know what cognitive dissonance is?
No.
So, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. There was a situation where sometimes when there is a lot of sentiment, or when people are anxious or angry about something, and somebody says something and they're upset about something.
Yes.
Sometimes people will cognitively dissonance themselves, meaning that they kind of put themselves into this weird little zone, or what they see in front of them isn't really what's happening. Mm-hmm. And they will sometimes join in. It's not necessarily, I mean, it's part of the madness of crowds. It's part of mob mentality. But, for example, like, somebody might say, there might be a lot of angst about somebody in a room, and somebody might say something like, that person does not give me the right ice cream cone at the shop. Or somebody is like, that person is not giving me an ice cream cone. Or that person is not properly working at the ice cream. You know, let's just, using the ice cream shop example, let's say that they are, they're not, see, I'm trying to come up with this on the fly here, so my brain's sort of a little out there. They're trying, let's say that the person is not...
So the person, alright, say the person is...
let's say we're at an ice cream shop, and let's say somebody is accusing the owner of the ice cream shop of just not acknowledging them at the register.
Yeah.
And then let's say that somebody else jumps into the conversation and says, oh yeah, the store owner, he's a liar. He doesn't give me the right ice cream, even though let's pretend that actually he always gives that person the correct ice cream.
So we're saying...
And then somebody else jumps in and says, oh yeah, that store owner, he doesn't pay his workers when he does pay his workers. And let's say it keeps going. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about when things get hyped up. You have someone who initially misunderstands something because they are either like these people and have this issue where they are cognitively dissonant, where they're not recognizing what's going on, and or they are liars. And then other people will jump in for the fun of it. A lot of and that's why, let's go back to video, let's go back to video 1 about the carnival atmosphere and the witch hunt and that whole thing.
I think we need to put into perspective of, it's awful, it's not just like an over-exaggeration, I mean, not lying. it is an over an exaggeration of some of the events as well. Like the ice cream thing, if someone, this is an example, it starts off, they never give me the right thing. That's assuming the person is purposely...
Well, we're not, let's not, I mean, that was just, no, that was just,
Yeah.
that was just to be an example. We're not getting into that specific thing. I'm just trying to talk in general terms. I wanted to use a more specific, well, not specific, but I wanted to use sort of a more different work setting, but I didn't think that was a good idea in this circumstance. But
I like ice cream.
Yeah, you like ice cream. I think, I don't know, do you get what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Okay, hopefully the
For the
audience
most
does,
part, I think I do.
For the most part, you think you know? Alright.
I probably need a review.
Probably.
5 tests.
I'm not testing you.
Being met with backlash and excessive police force. This is the active and only true narrative of today's events. Stay tuned. #ExposeEvergreen.
After the police were so careful not to do what they would have been entitled to do legally, they could have arrested all of them for blocking the police. After that, then the protesters had the audacity to misrepresent what the police had done. So the whole thing, it just tells the entire tale. And if they, hadn't filmed it, you wouldn't necessarily know. It would be he said, she said. But in this case, it's he said, she said, and the film says that she was right and he was wrong. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Fellas,
I hate commercials. I legitimately just hate commercials.
Welcome to the 21st century, where we have commercials to bother. Are we in the 22nd century then?
I don't know what decade we're in at this point with this nonsense.
Who cares?
I just want to watch the video.
Me too.
I get it. Ad revenue. We understand that.
Shush!
I think we're getting back to the video.
Let's do it.
When it starts, I'm gonna... Oh, shoot.
Wait, you go too far?
No, I need to,
Audio.
I need to bring the audio back. So we're back in room 4300.
Move it back a bit, because we couldn't hear things.
How far back?
They're probably at the start of
That's
this.
probably good enough.
Hey, this is Mindy. I'm in the library. We just got a call, and actually still have her on the line, from a mother who got a text from her daughter who said she's being held on the 4th floor and they won't let her leave.
There are no doors locked, and there's nobody being held anywhere.
Oh, so you already know.
I think she just doesn't want to get up and go because she's embarrassed somebody will say something to her.
Okay.
Everybody's free to leave.
Okay, I will. The mother's still on the phone,
Right.
so we'll pass that information along.
Okay.
We have a call from a mother who's concerned about their child. And what I want to ask is, and encourage, is that everyone is here of their own volition.
What?
And that folks who want to depart can depart.
No, you work for us. You work for us.
That they are weaponizing motherhood in a way that they did not for black people earlier this week.
I have asked Stacey Brown to come. She's willing to come. I believe she's willing to come unarmed. She needs to go home and change, get out of her gear, come in plain clothes. So here's what we're going to do.
Give her.
Let me finish, please. I want to go to work with my people. I want to go to work.
Real quick. Let's see it real quick.
With the people, the vice presidents.
Your people is the fucking state. You fascists, fuck you. Fuck you, George.
I'm with him. And right now I'm with him.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, George.
I'm going to go to work with the vice presidents and the deans. As soon as we adjourn, we're going to come back.
Why can't they
right
get
here.
this room?
Oh, no, we're all going to stay here.
There's a seat in the ground. Sit in a circle. We'll witness it.
I'm tired of white people talking about what black and brown people need. You don't know.
I'm just trying to respond.
I'm letting you know.
George wants to go talk to his people.
For what?
Whoever his people are. We need to have people in that room. They can't go by themselves. If they won't come here, some of us have to go to them.
Hey, that's fine with me.
They can't be in there with closed doors.
So people need to volunteer to go sit in that room and make sure that whatever happens is legit.
I'm Jamil. I'm a black trans body on this campus. I feel a lot of responsibility.
All right, so we're going to take a moment here to just sort of stop at this block of text because this is a most... I may actually have to read this out loud because this is... I mean, Jamil is going to say it, but I need to highlight some points of this before we even get further into the video. So first of all, what is your reaction so far to all of this?
Well, of course the child feels peer pressured into not leaving the room, because if you leave the room, you're gonna get harassed by a bunch of people.
That's true, and I know Wendy's trying to, like, deal with the situation, but here's the deal. So, oh god, here comes the witch hunt. Oh yes, Giorgio. Oh yes.
Oh,
this is more than a witch hunt right
Let's
now.
just say, this is not
This is an active hostage situation. This is clearly an active hostage situation.
No, it's not.
That's the way I would have interpreted it.
It is the beginning of all of the let's roll it back a bit. They're trying to make it into hostage situations. They're not doing a very well job.
Yeah, they're not good hostage takers, but they are using social manipulation to get what they want.
They're socially manipulating, the students and all of that. Justice don't. And because when I mess with the whatever. Anyway, so basically, they're
He's
using...
upset that I don't want him hitting the camera. I mean, oh my god, the microphone.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay, okay? It's okay. Whatever.
Let's keep going.
I love your hairstyle. It's quite...
Oh my god. I just don't even care. We're at, like, hour 3 of this.
Listen, hour 3? We could get to hour 4. You don't...
Weaponizing motherhood? Oh, Giorgio is, like, trying to react to this stuff. Yeah, no, this is... No. So this is the thing is, like... This is what we're talking about with the cognitive dissonance factor of this. This is what I'm talking about. You notice that Wendy, who's part of the administration, she's the VP of Student Affairs. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah.
Wendy is the VP of Student Affairs. And she is trying to just inform the group that, hey, you were all here. If you didn't know that, you can leave whenever you want. No one's holding you hostage here. Yeah. When Mother's calling, she's just concerned. Remember, anybody can leave when they want to. Jamil in that group, because Jamil is the one talking, you can clearly hear his voice in multiple comments here. Jamil does not really understand what he's talking about when he starts speaking in that conversation. Basically, he just flips out and is like, here's about, a mother is upset, here's this stuff. Here's what he wants to hear in it. And then he basically says, he basically tries to put it on that Wendy or whoever's through the phone, basically in the most non-logical. It's illogical. He logically jumps through and basically says that, oh, you're manipulating us. You're trying to whatever, and we work for you. You have to stay here if we tell you to stay here and blah. It's just
You work for us. We are.
Do you see the cognitive dissonance? What I'm talking about with that?
We pay you, so we dictate everything.
So I have to say this. Jamil is going to say this line that's on the screen, but I have to say it. I'm going to go through this kind of line by line because this is really the epitome of what
Justice wants to break down as to what.
Well, I want to break down this nonsense. So he starts with, "I'm Jamil. I'm a black trans body." Notice they don't talk about how they're people. This is like that he's just a body on the floor, like which is absolutely dehumanizing. I'm a black trans body on this campus. I feel a lot of responsibility just by the nature of my positionality. Basically that he is trans in this world to do a lot of emotional labor. So this is a concept that I really just don't... It's basically meaning that he... They're basically just complaining. They're basically just whiny babies. They're weenie babies. This is
not Weenie Hut Jr. Let's get this clear.
I know this is not Weenie Hut Jr., but this is what it feels like.
The point... Do you even know what the point of Weenie Hut Jr. was?
I don't want to get into SpongeBob. But to do a lot of emotional labor for all of y'all and the students involved. So basically he's saying that because he's black and because he's speaking, he is exerting emotional labor, that is some sort of special that he shouldn't have to do that. And it's been really, really draining. But I'm still in this room, and I'm still fighting for the people who need to be fought for. And I'm interested in this conversation going in a way that can actually protect people. Just notice how dehumanizing and how narcissistic just this entire statement is on its own. It's truly... But do you not, like... They always refer to themselves, and this actually gets worse throughout this series.
So...
They call themselves bodies, white bodies, trans bodies, disabled bodies, black bodies. It's gross.
It's labels. I hate
labels too. It's
labels
stupid.
Well, the labels, what it's doing is it's putting you in a position of this is who you are, when no, there's more than some stupid
Giorgio,
label.
these people are well known on the internet because guess what? This story went pretty viral a couple years ago. Yeah. And, oh, trust me, there at the end of the series, there is a little bit of follow-up that Ben does on what happens to some of these people. But, boy, oh boy, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot to this. There's a lot to unpack. I will just be clear. All right,
it's very confusing, some of it.
There's just so much backstory, and then there's so much action, and then there's so much backstory, and then there's so much action.
It really is, honestly, like, it's a documentary that tries to portray it in a certain context, but it's also, it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is, but there's so much to it. Like, that's the problem with the Evergreen story, is it's so unbelievable.
Yeah.
That it's like, how does this keep... I didn't think it was real when I watched it the first time.
It's so weird. It's not bad weird. It's just crazy weird. It's like...
If you want to get back to the video, we can talk in a bit.
How long have you been going?
We got like 12 more minutes.
Just by the nature of my positionality in this world, to do a lot of emotional labor for all of y'all and the students involved. And it's been really, really draining, but I'm still in this room and still fighting for the people that we fought for. And I'm interested in this conversation going in a way that can actually protect people.
It was this act of sort of externalizing this emotional labor that I was used to doing all the time and just keeping on the inside. I could like put it outside of me. Like, what is this white thing? What does it mean to you? Like, I actually want to know, because it kind of baffles me how difficult it seems to actually engage it with any kind of sincerity.
I'm Shrek, and I do a bunch of stuff. And one of those things that I do is I advocate for students, and I fight administration. And I will be very happy to graduate, so I don't have to see y'all no more. And y'all don't got to see me, so we'll both celebrate. And I work for TRIO, Student Success.
I strive to survive because I realize I'm wrapped in black skin. And understanding that the foundation of racism is anti-blackness, I have to pave the way for other black youth. And that is one of my motivations. And understanding that I have a black nephew and a black niece, and in a society that views them as dangerous and views you as dangerous, that's why I do it.
And these are the success stories. These are the students who have actually graduated. And what they had to go through to be successful.
So I'm trying to remember. So do you remember Trio Upward Bound when we were in high school?
Yes, I do remember it.
Okay, it wasn't like this. Just to point out that they're at a thing, this Trio thing, this is for, I believe, high school students. This is, I believe, they're in a high school right now. So just be aware of that. Look it up on your own. It's TRIO. It's TRIO. I think it's a national thing, or there's like chapters across in the different states. Look it up. It has a lot. There's usually a lot of stuff to do with first-year college students or underprivileged students that don't have a lot of money and stuff.
Yeah, we never participated in that stuff.
I was in the TRIO Upward Bound program when I went and did that summer at Fitchburg State. Back when I was a junior in high school.
Oh, yeah, I'm the
when
one
I
who's
did
never...
that statistics class.
He did. I've never.
He
done
never
any...
did that because there was a change and stuff, and so then we didn't qualify the next year. But I went for that summer. But that's why I recognize the acronym, or I recognize that it exists. I don't remember what it stands for, but
You recognize the organization.
I recognize the organization, so
some
I would
context.
I would say people should look it up. But they are in a high school. Like, this is clearly somebody who works with high school students. So these are clearly, maybe some of these are. There are some trio things for freshmen and sophomores in college. I don't want to try and misspeak on that, but they're clearly with younger students in this video. This is clearly clearly those are older people talking with younger people out in the audience. So just be aware of the context of that. So she works with youth. We'll just kind of summarize it like that.
I am very tired. I am sorry if I'm yawning and making other people yawn.
Oh, it's fine. I'm trying to get this over with.
Successful pales in comparison to other folks. Their experience at this institution or any other institution is not equivalent in terms of wear and tear on their psyche, on their confidence, and on their well-being, as if somebody who's coming from legacy, somebody whose grandparents, great-grandparents, parents went to institutions just like these. But they're only going to share these stories is if you're literally and actually going to take them into consideration the next time you interact with somebody who comes from a background of oppression. So their voices and experiences are going to be the catalyst to change and transform of how we go about business.
But I think enough students saying this person makes me feel unsafe is enough evidence that they make us feel unsafe and can't do their job. If we can't have this process really, this long drawn out process. It needs to be the job on campus where you fuck up, it's a big fuck up. So you need to go, and that needs to be strongly worded and strongly emphasized. We want all these people investigated, and so we keep having to do the labor to educate students on how they're supposed to do that and when they're supposed to do that and why they're supposed to do that and why it's not happening and stuff. And we need y'all to take more initiative more initiative and time to set aside to doing some of that process.
Students, we kind of have an understanding of what our rights are because we're constantly telling you what you can't do to us. Right. And you're constantly silencing us when we voice that. So we know what our rights are. We understand what y'all can't do, send an officer in to push us without even just asking us what's going on. That feels like something that shouldn't be happening to me. My question is, what are you going to do in response to what we're telling you? I mean, a lot of this stuff is civil rights. Y'all breaking our civil rights. I mean, y'all breaking laws and rules and regulations. It's bigger than just Evergreen. Y'all doing some shit that's on a whole new level here. So let's stop pretending like we're not talking about that, because that's what we're talking about.
But I think it's important when you're talking to the students to hear the words that the students are giving you. Mm-hmm. And so blah blah legal jargon. We've said that this is anti-blackness. We are the authority. We are the in this room is the authority on anti-black. You know what I mean? And so
Jamil literally just said that they are the authority of what is considered anti-blackness.
Yeah, they're not. They are not the authority. That's not how this works. You, as a student, when you enroll into a college, you are not the person that dictates how the college works. You
also,
influence the
I'm sorry,
college.
But these people honestly don't even they can't even cite a statute. I'm sorry, but this is. I'm not saying that citing statute by
Some people can't remember things perfectly, dude.
Well, some people can.
Well, yeah, I have pretty good memory, and you got decent memory, but that's because you put a lot of effort into really things.
But did you hear that? I am the authority. So on the one hand, they're talking about how they don't. Yeah. Remember, I think it was in video 2 of this where they talk about how where that student is maybe the students should take over the college because you guys clearly don't know how to teach. Part of sort of that same weird sector of people, and then you have people like Jameel in this section of the video, who he's a little bit higher up on the leadership pole of the woke students, who is saying that he is an authority that should be listened to, and that all the students should listen to, and that the administration should listen to, and that they are him with the other people who are black in the room are experts on anti-blackness. Meanwhile, when, you know, the students who follow them don't believe in authority. So it's this weird, hypocritical...
They do not believe in the current authority that they are in, but they believe they have power.
Authority.
They believe they have power. They have the power to have authority.
Also, can we point out the fact that they got free pizza and snacks during this hostage situation in the administration lounge?
No.
That's free pizza. That's all being paid for by either the staff members or the college itself.
Who cares, dude?
What do you mean, who cares? Look at this.
Dude, it's the cheap stuff, man. No one cares.
Whatever.
Okay, here's my thought on no one cares. I say it like that because maybe that's just me.
Giorgio remembers the pizza party safe space. I remember this part of it. Yep. This is what we're looking at.
This is the pizza party safe space.
Yep. All right, let's keep going because I need to cut you off.
Administrators in this building are not the authority.
Yeah, and so I'm comfortable with you doing what you need to do in like the privacy of like whatever type, you know. But like when it comes to addressing students, I think it's your responsibility to take the words we are given to describe our experience and using those.
9 of the class right now is working on a film, and we went in the archives where the whole email scandal that broke out between the staff and faculty. It's not the first time that this has happened.
So what do you think we should do about email here?
What do I think you should do about email here?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
it's nothing you can do. Like, that's like saying, what can we do about people writing a letter? Like, people are gonna send emails. We can't stop people from sending emails.
Oh yeah, we can.
No, we cannot. We cannot stop people from sending emails. Everyone, you can't stop somebody from typing an email. I can send an email right here. You're not gonna stop me. And I'm just telling you that it's not.
You know what? That's worth a stop, because you know what's hilarious is that George is a politician. Let's just start off with this. But what's interesting about this situation is that no, actually, let's hear you first.
They have now just clearly stated that you cannot stop someone from sending an email. You are right. You cannot. But you have a problem of the context of the email. Fair? You know, sometimes it's fair. Sometimes it really should not have been an email that's sent out. But I think in this sense, I think they've pushed it too far. And I think they are saying things that they should have thought about way earlier, and they should have really...
But this is the problem, this is what I was about to bring up, is that this is rules for me and not for thee. So they, when he's bringing up about we can stop doing emails, and they sort of, there's this weird click in their head about like, well, no, you can't stop people from sending things. Like, you can't stop people from doing that. They think you can stop people from saying things. They believe that you can stop people from saying things. What they think that you can't do is stop someone from typing something. That's an interesting thing. I actually think that that's a quality of generational differences, where they don't understand that you speaking about something, and you know what I'm trying to get at about the differential, about like what they're worried about and what they're fearful of in terms of free speech in that conversation, and what they finally are like, no, you can do that. Versus before, when they were like, with that student in the first video, stop being disrespectful. Well, what do you mean by that? Or when people are speaking and they're upset that anyone's even speaking at all, and saying that you can't even speak. They're saying that you can speak, essentially, which emails are free. You know, email is an expression of speech. Writing is an expression of speech. They're saying, well, you can't stop someone from the act of doing emails and doing written messages. But then on the other hand, in some of these confrontations, they're saying, shut up, Brett, listen to us, you have no voice. it's a hypocritical.
It's not so
They're not consistent.
Hypocritical is not the word I would use. I would use it as more if it's a peer pressure kind of move. It's a social move. It's.
I think that there's a generational difference
it's
here.
A generation. Yeah,
there is a generational difference where they think that you verbalizing something is not necessarily freedom, but that you are able to write anything that you want, and that the act of writing it and sending it is freedom until it hits, and then they don't like it, and then they want it taken down.
It's that's not how it works though. It's always free until it's always free, and unless you're saying something horrible and like.
But that's the problem is they're using that clause to basically hypocritically justify and make the rules for them and the rules for everybody
they're using the clause of if you say something horrible, like the extremist side of things. Yeah. Which, mind you, you have to think about it like some.
But this is the other problem is now you're using terminology that has a completely different meaning to these people.
Well, okay, I'm not completely outside of the whole, like, I am using it a little bit differently, but think about it like this. They want control and they want power, and how do I do that? Well, if I stop the ability of me typing, that's a loss of my power for them.
You know what's funny is you just realized in this conversation, and I wasn't thinking about it in terms of power, but remember that this is something that you picked up on that naturally that I didn't think of, probably because you're a little bit younger and this is the way that they sort of talk about this sort of stuff. Remember that everything that the woke does is about power dynamics. So when their power is threatened, whether it is obvious or not obvious, and this is why this contextual situation happens, is small but very important in this dynamic of what happens. It's of what in the scope of what's happening at Evergreen. This is a very important thing to realize. It's not necessarily hypocritical. I mean, it is hypocritical, but what I'm trying to highlight here is that, and what you just brought up was a real good point, is that this is about power. This is about they're fearful that if they shut down Brett's email, they're going to shut down their email. That's what they're worried about in their ability to go.
I think I'm going to sum it up what I think is the best way to describe the whole Evergreen, because it's going to repeat over and over a lot of the same thing, and it from what we've watched, they haven't watched, some of them haven't watched everything, but like it repeats over these patterns of power dynamics, an emotional high. And I say emotional high because I'm referring to...
I haven't heard it put like that before,
because
but an emotional
when
high.
They're in the moment, they're on an emotional high of like, yeah! And it's like, no. There's a saying...
They're high on their own supply.
Yeah.
They're almost like in this weird... I mean, they're cognitively dissonant, but also in this situation, they're not they're cognitively dissonant, but at this point, they're calm, they're having pizza, they're chilling.
Which is
and
why
they're realizing, holy smokes, no, don't shut down the emails. Let us send out what we want. Just punish them later when they say the things that we don't like.
And which is also contradictory because they're gonna say things that they don't like, and now they're gonna punish them. But then it's
it's that they're scared about the gatekeeping here because of the power dynamic.
Basically, if you cut off someone's way of expressing themselves, you've cut off their voice in a sense. And in this time period in 2017, that is very true. Especially emails. Yeah, no, it was for them in the college campus. Probably pretty important. I remember emails being pretty important back then, but I also remember social media. This is obviously all posted on social media, a lot of this stuff too.
I don't know. I think that we've hit a good point. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
The fact of them sending emails is the content of the emails, and the fact that it's not being addressed. The fact that what's being said. He's sitting here saying he thinks everything okay. Like, he still doesn't think he did anything wrong, and that's y'all's fault.
Who are we talking about?
Brett Weinstein. He still thinks what he said in those emails is okay, and that's because of y'all. All of y'all sitting up here.
So a couple of clarifying points for this episode. About midway through the video, the VP of Student Affairs, Wendy Indris, addresses the gathering by saying that, quote, "We have a call from a mother who's concerned about their child, and what I want to ask is, and encourage is that everyone is here of their own volition, and that folks who want to depart can depart." Now, then Jamil stands up and shouts, "They are weaponizing motherhood in a way they did not for black people earlier this year." And then the crowd cheers. It's very important to kind of deconstruct this a little bit. The first point of order is that Wendy Indris addresses the relationship between the parent and the student as one between a parent and a child. I think that that's very important, that she thinks of students there as children, and a lot of the behavior of the college towards the student body is as a parent towards a child. There's these bias incident response teams. There's this coddling that's going on constantly that's then manifested by the tantrum that the students are throwing in that situation. The problem with Wendy Indris's language doesn't end there. It continues when she says,
And what I want to ask is, and encourage, is that everyone is here of their own volition.
What?
And that folks who want to
What are you
depart
talking
can
about?
depart.
she doesn't directly address them. She uses this language that is a different vocabulary than the students are used to, and she doesn't directly address them and say very directly that whoever wants to be here is here by choice, and that anybody who wants to leave can leave by choice. She's actually trying to extend the benefit of the doubt to the protesters that they are not taking anyone hostage, which will turn out to be not the case in the next day's protest. But the students are not thinking critically at all, as you probably already understand. They see this, they perceive this, and this is what I see them perceiving this as there's a baby somewhere in the library building that is scared of all of these scary minorities that are acting in this scary manner. And what Wendy is doing is trying to shut down their movement by using the relationship between a mother and a child to do so. Now, when Jamil does his little statement about weaponizing motherhood, what he's actually referencing is the event that sparked the entire protest, which is when Kiave and Tamiko and Jamil had that confrontation and the police got involved. What happened was that the police tried to contact Tamiko after Kiave made his complaint, and the phone number that they had on record was not Tamiko's phone number, it was his mother's phone number. So that was taken as a point of aggression that they would contact a black male's mother on Mother's Day, because of course the cops and the black community have had a very terrible relationship. And as we dive further into the Evergreen story, we will see that the attitude towards the police is not just situated among the black students, but is perpetuated by the institution at large. And that will eventually lead to Stacey Brown's suit against the institution after the fallout. One more point of order, and then we're wrapping this one up. Did you notice how incredulous the students were towards George Bridges when he said that he could just shut down email? So the students want the opposition to be brought to heel. They want Brett Weinstein to be forced to agree with them. George Bridges doesn't even want to take that step. He wants to shut down any sort of communication whatsoever and have the official opinion of the institution represented at every level of the institution, and any form of dissent shut down. And we will, as we will get into in the next episode when we dive into the canoe meeting, we will see that that attitude of shutting down the opposition is again replicated on all levels of the institution, not just the student body. And one more thing before we wrap up. I think it's very important that this video series does not stand as a repudiation against individuals. This is something that we should think of as a sociological event. One, the students are very young. They're acting out as young people usually act out. Two, the institution, even the individuals within the institution, even though I'm not recusing them of any responsibility for what happened, they're still manifesting a certain ideology. And I would really encourage the audience not to take out their aggression on individuals. One, that aggression solves nothing. Two, that aggression is a mirror of the aggression that we see here. So, when you're reacting, sit with your reaction a little bit, I ask you, but I'm not going to tell you what to do, because of course that would just get you guys to react. Anyhow, on to the next video.
For those of you who didn't just hear, Hunter said I agree with him. So
You
that was
could have
something...
just let me repeat it. I was about to repeat. I was going to say, I agree with him because he's right.
I forgot. So this is the thing, is I forgot that he does this at the end of this third video. We did our own, obviously we did our own analysis on it, but
yeah.
There were some pieces of it that I forgot about, like the fact that there's this whole So another
much
thing
info.
that there's so much info about other stuff that goes on in the background. So one of the other pieces that also makes Jamil flip out, and this is what Benjamin's talking about, is that there was a phone call made because of the situation in episode 1 with that student that made the post about the joke post, not the joke post, but the mocking post against, when Jamil does the Facebook post about we want to have an all black course, and then someone makes a post about wanting to have an all white course, and that starts a whole thing. It was that thing and that whole confrontation with the person getting really up on him, and it was that caused a phone call between Evergreen State College Police and then that individual. And that I'll get into a little bit later on in the series, but
which we don't know who the individual was. It was a different person that was.
I based on the names, I know who they were talking about. They come up later in the series. I'll have to point out them as well.
I don't really want to because I don't think it's important.
It's not like what Benjamin said, that we're trying to and we've been doing this too. It's not about the individuals. It's about the fact that there is an ideology, and he does a really good job of
It is it has nothing to do with this is an event that is transpired.
This stuff happened a while ago, and honestly, these people
they're living their lives now. There's nothing.
I actually don't know what some of these people are doing right now because this was done later on.
We have no we're just reacting to the events that have happened, and we're just putting.
We're just reacting to this documentary as presented, but you need to wholeheartedly understand that there's quite a bit of just stuff with this, just a ton of stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of adults don't grow up, and there's a reason why. Well, dumbed down. The reason behind that, it has to do with our IQ and all of that.
I don't know. I think we're kind of going on for a little bit, but it's 12:28. We're almost at 3 hours. Do you wanna start shutting this down?
We're almost at 3.
Yeah, we're almost at 3, and we finished that. I think we're pretty good now.
Well,
is there any final thoughts?
I think we conclude our thoughts, and then it's over. But. And obviously talk to the chat a little bit, but no, because many adults don't grow up in our dumbed down culture, so I'm still concerned, and I agree, this is true. That mainly has to do with a lot of aspects with our, because when you're thinking about a large volume of people, we have to take into perspective that you are not going to get the best of the bunch every person is not perfect. We are all flawed individuals, and that is what makes us human, and that's an important thing. I have my problems just as has his. Everyone's got their problems, and it's basically some people are better than this, some people are better than that, but some people
we'll experience buffering. I'm just looking at the stream health. Oh yeah, we're so good with our stream health on here, ladies and gentlemen. We're so awesome.
It's so many messages of just how horrible it is.
Well, no, from the system itself.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty great.
But it's honestly though, because you have to think about the IQ average. And it's not to say that, IQ doesn't matter. It's it doesn't. But when you have a bunch of laborious jobs to move product and all that, you don't need to be really that smart now, do you?
Wait, what are we talking about?
We're talking, because he's talking about their dumbed down culture.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people. Well,
and that's why
there's a lot of reasons for that. If you want to hear about our dumbed down culture, I definitely recommend looking at some of the videos that Deb Philman has done on the Reason We Learn channel. I highly recommend her locals community and some of her stuff if you want to hear about some of that stuff and the dumbing down of our educational system. That is something that she's really focused on, and that would...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, you don't know about Deb at all, do you?
No, I don't know about that. But
you don't need to know about Deb.
Yeah, our education system's been dumbing down over the years. I think, honestly, I probably hit...
You got Common Core. No, you didn't just... Yeah, you got Common Core. We both had Common Core, but because Massachusetts was really the hotbed for some of this nonsense, but with some of the education stuff. But we got... I can't remember what we got. It's been fun. Adrian probably really needs to go to bed.
Yeah, it's been fun. They're probably going to bed.
Yeah, she's probably heading off.
Yeah, we're
closing down, everyone.
If you want to leave, you can. We're just finishing off our thoughts.
I actually don't have any more thoughts to finish up. I think we're good to go.
I think conclusionally we have no problems with any of these people. We don't need these people.
Oh, you're still going on about that. I'm just going on the fact that so do you want to do another reaction stream to this stuff?
I'll do another reaction stream.
You'll do another one? I don't know what day we're going to do it on.
Please don't say that because my mom wants to do
Adrian
a Don't say that.
Adrian is saying the thing that we need.
Don't say that because you realize I'm going to be on you're going to make me on 2 podcasts. You guys are going to make it no.
I don't know if that thing that you
It's going to happen. I don't have a choice. I already know it's going to happen. I'm not mad about it.
We will do more streams. Maybe we should do...
Because there's going to be a podcast with me and my mom at some point, but she'll never
I
go
know.
on camera.
You know what? I really don't even know what it really is going to look like.
Our podcast?
I don't know what you guys are really doing on that thing, and I don't really care about that whole thing.
I hope it's not politics.
I don't know what Mother wants. Mother wants to do certain things.
I understand politics. I just do not.
No, Mother wants to do certain things, and I just don't even know what you two are
Mom
up
is
to. But
ambitious.
my thing is, do you want to do one on Sunday?
What, a podcast?
Oh, no. I'm busy on Sunday. No. Don't. Let's not do something on Sunday, for the love of God.
What are you doing?
I'm subbed to her locals. Yes, Giorgio. We know you're subbed to her locals. That's a positive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you
maybe
can't go
on
Yeah, no Sundays for you.
What about tomorrow night?
What about tomorrow night?
Do you want to do this tomorrow night? Do you want to do like 4 through 6?
Well, at least I'll get home earlier. 4
You'll
through
be
6?
home more. Yeah, because I have super budget Saturday.
Okay.
Do you want to just do stuff tomorrow? I gotta post another video anyway.
Sure. You're not editing any of this, are you? You're just posting it?
We're just streaming live. Okay, so we are gonna do more tomorrow just for the fun of it.
Okay.
And
before we do tomorrow, I'll tell you some things on the off stream about your setup, just to make it a little bit more so you don't have to. You'll see. Be surprised.
There'll be some differences next time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. This is within 30 minutes that we got together. But anyway, we really appreciate everything. You're heading off. I'm heading off. And that is it. If you want to follow me, if any of you are watching this, you can follow me on Twitter at JusticeJHG on Twitter. You can also follow me on my locals community at justicegraves.locals.com. That is justicegraves.locals.com. And you can follow Hunter at DELTADEADEYE on Twitter. And
I don't post, but I will.
He doesn't post.
I will post entertainment things at some point. I am just not used to Twitter, and that's all you're gonna get is entertainment.
Hashtag Purple Foxtrap.
Purple Foxtrap? Purple?
Purple Foxtrap. Purple Foxtrap.
Oh, I kept telling
we don't need to talk about this on air.
No, I kept telling Heidi to send you fox photos.
That's why I keep getting the fox photos? Oh, because of that?
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome?
You're
okay.
welcome.
Well,
also,
that's all we got. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Signing off. We're going to try and